August 2nd, Monday. It was another beautiful day. Xiao Feng's current company was nominally established, just waiting for various formalities. Anyway, under the current circumstances, even if the company was not officially established, he could still collect Bitcoin and houses, which did not affect the progress at all. Li Jinian also continued to receive treatment for the first few days. She needed to go every day, but then it would gradually become less frequent. As for Xiao Feng, of course, he still had to go to work. For no other reason than, in his memory, K's company was about to fall into a major funding crisis, the kind where they could not even pay salaries. In his previous life, Li Jinian herself was seriously ill at that time, and coupled with the inability to pay salaries, it was hard to see any company prospects. Xiao Feng naturally resigned decisively, missing out on the company's dividends. There was nothing he could do. Under those circumstances, Xiao Feng could not afford to delay, especially when salaries were difficult to issue. Similarly, Zhang Yang also resigned with him at that time. Afterward, the two went their separate ways, joining different companies. But later, it is worth mentioning that after Capital K's company resolved its financial crisis, it immediately reissued all the previous salaries. However, since Xiao Feng had already started working at a new company by then, he did not go back. As for later, when he heard news of K's again, it had already become the largest short video platform in the country at that time. Therefore, in this life, the reason Xiao Feng was still temporarily working at K's company was precisely for this opportunity. If all went as expected, it would be within the next 2 days that the news of unpaid salaries would break. By then, the entire company would be in a state of panic, and the boss would fall into his most difficult period, raising money and seeking investors everywhere. Under such circumstances, Xiao Feng would definitely invest 100%. Because, later, this K's company leaped to become K's group, with a market capitalization of 300 billion plus. Although its upper limit was not as high as Mizhou Group, it was still 300 billion in the end. And currently, the company's total valuation, all added together, was at most around 20 to 30 million. So, investing even 5 million now would yield undeniable returns in the future. K's company. Xiao Feng spent the morning handling his own company's formalities, took a half-day leave, and only arrived at work at 1 p.m. As soon as he entered the company, he could hear from a distance that his department seemed to be arguing. Luque, damn it, I fell for your evil schemes. I also fell for your evil schemes. If it were not for you, I would have sold with Xiao Feng last Friday. Exactly. It is all because of you. You insisted that Ying Chuang would surge next and told us not to sell. Now look, it is limit down. The limit down is not the main point. The main point is, we can't even sell now. If we want to sell, we can only dump it at a low price. We can't even dump it. I bought a full 100,000 worth. What should I do? You are still talking. I bought 200,000 worth. On Friday, it hit limit up, making 10%. So my assets were 220,000. As a result, this one limit down lost 22,000, which means I am now down 2,000. It is all because of Luca. Otherwise, last Friday, we definitely would have sold everything with Xiao Feng. Hearing the noisy voices, it was obvious. Everyone's stocks had lost money again, and they were all pointing fingers at Luque. After the limit up last Friday, all the colleagues in the department, except Han Shueki, continued to hold on to their shares. They mainly thought that Ying Chuang could continue to surge, and since they had only made money for 1 day at the time, they wanted to earn a bit more, so their greed prevented them from selling. But as a result, this past Saturday and Sunday, Ying Chuang Group continuously released 2 pieces of negative news. Negative news meaning unfavorable information for the group. Consequently, as soon as the market opened on Monday, it immediately hit limit down. It remained at limit down, with no trend of upward or downward fluctuations in between. So, taking advantage of the lunch break, everyone saw that Ying Chuang was consistently at limit down, completely without fluctuation, and they started arguing because of this. They all directed their anger at Luke, completely disregarding the fact that Luke was, after all, also the department's deputy supervisor. This was real money, and they had lost so much that they might as well quit their jobs, so naturally they no longer cared about Luke's position. After being bombarded like this, Luke's face had long lost its composure, and it was considered a complete fallout. Enough, every single one of you. As soon as it hits limit down, you immediately blame me. Did I force you to buy? And also, what if it hit limit up today? Would you give me money? Now it is limit down, and you all say it is my fault. Furthermore, on Friday. What did I say that told you not to sell? I said very clearly that day that I felt it could go up, but I never said to absolutely not sell. It was your own greed, thinking that making money for one day was not enough, wanting to hold on for a few more days. So it has nothing to do with me. If you want to blame someone, blame your own greed. Besides, do you think you're the only one suffering? I borrowed money and bought 300,000 worth, and I lost 33,000 in one day today. Luca's counterattack made everyone briefly silent for a few seconds. What Luke said was indeed reasonable, it was still due to their own greed. However, although what he said earlier was reasonable, Luca's next sentence was a bit unreasonable. If you ask me, you should blame Xiao Feng. He knew it was going to fall, but did not tell us in advance. Damn. To blame Xiao Feng for this was really absurd. Zhang Yang, who was originally watching the show from the side, immediately stood up when he heard Luke say this. Luke, think before you speak. What does this have to do with Xiao Feng? Furthermore, you all knew when Xiao Feng sold last Friday. Do not think that just because Xiao Feng is not here, you can push the blame onto him. Zhang Yang was truly a good brother. He always stood by Xiao Feng's side, no matter what. It was at this moment that Xiao Feng also finished clocking in, and just walked in. Xiao Feng had heard everything everyone said earlier perfectly clearly. Xiao Feng did not care at all. He could not be bothered to go forward and argue, much less quarrel with someone like Luke, because the current situation was different. Luke probably could not even come up with 300,000 now, while Xiao Feng could easily produce 30 million. Although Xiao Feng did not have a major status currently, given the 100-fold difference in their net worth, arguing with Luca like a child would indeed be demeaning. Moreover, the reason he was still temporarily at KS Company was originally for another purpose, such trivial matters. He simply did not care. But not caring did not mean Xiao Feng had a good temper. Xiao Feng looked at Luke with a meaningful gaze. LUU, Deputy Supervisor. Xiao Feng deliberately paused. Cherish your job well. Xiao Feng only said this one sentence, nothing else. Xiao Feng's words had a hidden meaning. In the future, if he invested in KS Company and became a major shareholder, one word from him could get Luke fired. Luke was a bit stunned by this sudden remark. He completely did not understand what it meant. Thinking it over and over, he still felt there was something strange about that sentence. After much thought, Luke, though still not understanding, let out a cold snort through his nostrils. Heh! How absurd! What do you mean, Xiao Feng? With that question you just asked, are you going to promote me? Or are you going to fire me? Indeed, you should cherish it well. Just then, another voice came from behind. It was none other than the department supervisor, Zhao Jinxin, who managed the entire department. Zhao Jinxin had just returned to the department after a meeting, and his face did not look good. The meeting had lasted for 3 whole hours, from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. He had not even eaten lunch. As soon as he returned, he happened to stumble upon this scene. Zhao Jinxin's words immediately piqued everyone's curiosity. Supervisor Zhao, your face does not look too good. Wu Peng was the first to ask. Sigh. Zhao Jinxin was in a very low mood. He tried to adjust his breathing, then clapped his hands, signaling everyone to listen carefully. I have some bad news for everyone. I just finished a meeting, and it is basically our company's current financial situation is not optimistic. We might not be able to pay salaries this month. Department head Zhao Jinxin's words were like a bolt from the blue. Everyone was already at rock bottom because of the stock losses, and now they heard that even their salaries could not be paid. It was a double blow. In an instant, their minds collapsed. Zhao Jinxin continued. Originally, I wanted to tell everyone a few days later, thinking, maybe the company could hold on and things might get better, but, as your department head, I also have to consider you all. After all, I am also an employee. If the company goes under, would not it be better for you to look for a job in advance? instead of having to scramble for one then. Of course, everyone does not need to panic too much. CEO Gao is trying to raise funds. After all, our company is about to undergo a transformation and venture into the short video field. Under such circumstances, if an investor takes an interest in our company and is willing to invest, we can withstand this financial crisis. In short, I estimate that eventually, probably, maybe we can secure an investment. Zhao Jingxin himself did not sound confident when he said it. In fact, from an objective point of view, Zhao Jingxin was indeed doing it for everyone's good, preparing them psychologically in advance. Just as he said, if it goes under, everyone can look for jobs in advance, rather than having to scramble for one after being completely unemployed. Moreover, this kind of thing, since a meeting was held today, even if Zhao Jingxin did not say it, other department heads would also reveal it to their employees. And once it is revealed, it will inevitably spread like wildfire, immediately becoming common knowledge. As soon as Zhao Jingxin finished speaking, the entire operations department immediately became agitated. Everyone started talking at once, saying all sorts of things. It is over, out of nowhere. Why is the company suddenly going under? There is nothing we can do. With the development of the times, the GIF-making software our company currently produces is already outdated. Did not? They always say they were going to transition to short videos. Have not those people in the tech department managed to make the new software yet? Come on. It is not that easy to make. And I suspect the reason our company has financial problems is probably because all the money was poured into developing the short video software, which is accelerating our demise. No, it has not gone bankrupt yet. Do not talk like that. Does it matter? They have already leaked this kind of news to us, which proves the company is basically going to close. I am truly done for. I put all my money into Yingchuang stock. Losing money on Yingchuang is bad enough, but now I am about to lose my job. Me too. I bought 100,000 in Yingchuang. My job is about to be gone, and if Yingchuang keeps falling, I will cry my eyes out. Do not even talk about it. Your job only pays 4,000 a month, so losing it is not a big deal. The one who must be suffering the most is Luke. He is the deputy department head, earning 8 or 9,000 a month. If he loses his job, it will be hard to find another one with such a high salary. Plus, he bought 300,000 in Yingchuang stock. Look at him. After department head Zhao Jingxin finished speaking, Luke's expression. That is when I truly saw firsthand what it means to be ashen-faced. Good heavens, I still prefer his defiant attitude from earlier. He looked very arrogant. Xiao Feng's words actually came true. He really should cherish this job. He won't be working here much longer. In an instant, the entire department was almost paralyzed, with everyone plunged into anxiety. Only Xiao Feng was completely unfazed and even a little excited. According to the current situation, the company's owner would first go around raising funds and attracting investment, but it would be very difficult at the beginning with no results. After all, a company of this size could not be saved with just 1 million. It would need at least several million, making it hard to secure funds immediately. And Xiao Feng was still waiting. When the boss reached a dead end, almost at his limit, that is when Xiao Feng would truly offer help in his time of need. Offering help at such a time would make the boss even more grateful, more sincere. And Xiao Feng would also get a larger share of the equity. Xiao Feng was not a greedy person. Getting around 30% would be fine, but if he approached them now, offering an investment proactively, he would get at most 10% for the same amount of money. Of course, Xiao Feng would not wait too long either, because he remembered. A's eventually did secure investment later on. So Xiao Feng had to time it just right to maximize his benefits. Also, there was another trick. Adding this trick would make the effect even better. Xiao Feng, I'm out. Just then, Zhang Yang leaned over and whispered, "Things are like this now, and my salary is not high anyway. Just 4,500 a month. If I lose it, I lose it. I will just find another job." In his previous life, Zhang Yang had immediately resigned. In this life, even his lines were exactly the same at this moment. Xiao Feng followed Zhang Yang's words and asked, "Do you have any plans next?" No. Zhang Yang's mood was not high. Even though losing this job is losing it, trying to find a new one, sigh. It is not easy. And I would have to go through a probation period, adapt to a new environment. I probably would not even get 4,500 a month. Getting 4,000 would be good. I'm not worried about anything else. My biggest worry is that they won't let me have paid toilet breaks. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang felt even worse. This company was quite good. At least no one bothered Zhang Yang about his paid toilet breaks every morning. If he went to a new company, that would be hard to say. Xiao Feng had actually already considered Zhang Yang's situation. All of this was within his plans. Zhang Yang. Actually, I think this company's future development prospects are still quite good. You might want to hold off on resigning for now and stick around to observe. Xiao Feng gave a meaningful suggestion. Although Zhang Yang did not quite understand why, he now trusted Xiao Feng implicitly. Mainly because Zhang Yang had made a small profit during the last World Cup, and he was still very grateful to Xiao Feng. Zhang Yang immediately changed his tune. Xiao Feng, if you put it that way, then I have changed my mind. I will keep working here. Huh! Xiao Feng was also quite surprised. You changed your mind so easily. Yeah. Zh. Zhang Yang replied almost without thinking. Xiao Feng, actually, I have had a lot of regrets these past 2 days, especially seeing Han Shueki make tens of thousands by following your stock picks. I was so envious. Do not let my usual carefree demeanor fool you. These past 2 nights when I went home, I kept thinking, if only I had followed your lead and bought too. After all, I won during the last World Cup, and I still have over 30,000 in my account. If I had bought with you last week, like Han Shueki, I would have over 50,000 now. But there is nothing to regret. I do not even play stocks. Still, this incident made me realize that I think you are like a protagonist in a novel, with your own aura. To be blunt, I feel like you have good fortune around you, so I particularly trust you now. After hearing Zhang Yang finish, Xiao Feng's face was lined with black as he quipped, "You have read too many novels. This is real life we are talking about." Zhang Yang chuckled. I know, I was just making a comparison. Anyway, I believe you now. Since you advised me to stay, then I am definitely staying. If our CEO Gao really can't secure investment in the end, and the company has to close, then it won't be too late for me to look for a job then. Anyway, I have tens of thousands in my account, which is enough for me to live comfortably for over half a year, even without working. Besides, my salary is only 4,000 or 5,000 a month, so it is not hard to find another job. Zhang Yang spoke his thoughts as if he did not have a care in the world, appearing very relaxed, but in reality, he still felt pressure. After all, at the end of the day, no one wants to suddenly lose a familiar job and then have to adapt to a new one. Wu Peng at the nearby workstation also overheard the conversation between Xiao Feng and Zhang Yang and was feeling quite down at that moment. In short, no one wanted to lose their job. And just then, Xiao Feng deliberately patted Zhang Yang's shoulder, speaking in a low voice, but very clearly, just loud enough for Wu Peng, who was nearby, to hear. Do not worry, Zhang Yang. This company is not going under. Do not forget, I made over 5 million from stock trading last week. As soon as he said this, Zhang Yang suddenly looked at Xiao Feng, hesitated for just 3 seconds, then suddenly realized Zhang Yang already knew Xiao Feng had made over 5 million last week, but he had not connected the dots just now. And now, Xiao Feng's implication. Even an idiot could figure it out. After realizing, Zhang Yang was also a little excited. Xiao Feng, do you mean you're planning to invest in our company? Not necessarily. Xiao Feng appeared very hesitant. Mainly, I do have some spare cash on hand, and I am still considering it. Xiao Feng's words, although not loud, Wu Peng, who was nearby, heard them clearly. Xiao Feng knew very well that Wu Peng was a big mouth. He could not keep anything secret. Upon hearing this news, Wu Peng's eyes lit up, and his eyeballs darted rapidly. What if I secretly told CEO Gao about this? If I made CEO Gao actively come and ask Xiao Feng to invest, maybe Xiao Feng would not hesitate anymore. This might actually work out. Once the company is saved, I won't have to be unemployed. And CEO Gao would have to thank me for telling him this secret, and a raise would even be within reach. I am a genius. K.'s company chairman's office. Inside the office, the middle-aged man held the phone, speaking humbly and subserviently. He kept making one phone call after another. Mr. Joke's company is at its most critical juncture right now. As long as you invest $8 million, I can guarantee that future returns will at least increase by 5 to 10 times. I am really not exaggerating. Our technical department has completed an important phase and is about to start internal testing. As soon as our short video app goes online, it will immediately capture the market. It is true, Mr. Joe, you have to believe me. When have I, Gao Yuanming, ever made grand boasts, Mr. Joe, hello, Mr. Joe. Beep, beep, beep. The other party had already hung up. He dialed another one. Hello, old Lou, it is me. What do you think about the $8 million investment we discussed a couple of days ago? Gao Yuanming's tone remained humble. But on the other end of the phone, the tone was very assertive. Old Gao, to be honest, I did not think much of your short video app, but I am quite interested in the motion graphics your company is currently producing. How about this? I will give you $8 million, acquire your company under my name, and I will call the shots from now on. What do you think? Hearing the demand from the other end of the phone, Gao Yuanming trembled with anger. Old Lou, we have been friends for so many years, and at a time like this, you are actually thinking of swallowing me whole. Also, my company is currently worth at least 20 to 30 million. You want to acquire it for 8 million. On the other end of the phone, a dismissive chuckle, old Gao. Right now, I am still willing to acquire your company for 8 million. If it goes completely bust after a while, let alone 8 million, no one will want it for 800,000. You are simply delusional. This time, Gao Yuanming hung up the phone himself. After hanging up, Gao Yuanming sat there dejectedly, holding his forehead like a frosted eggplant. In the past few days, because of funding issues, his temples had turned gray. He looked at least 10 years older. Almost in his 50s, though he was only 42 this year. There was nothing he could do. He had made almost every call he could and tried every method he could think of. Either he was rejected outright, or the demands made by the other party were simply too outrageous. Thinking of this, Gao Yuanming sighed repeatedly, murmuring to himself, "These merciless guys really dare to ask for 51% of my shares for 5 million. And this old Lou, truly no regard for old friendships, wants to acquire my company for 8 million. Sigh. Or, should I really consider it? Piff! Piff! What am I thinking? No, absolutely not. This company is my life's work for so many years. I absolutely won't sell it for 8 million. I can definitely secure investment. There must be another way. There must." Gao Yuanming silently cheered himself on, but as soon as he finished, a hint of self-doubt flashed across his face. This investment is too hard to secure. Even a trace of regretting his initial decision. If it were not for the insistence on transitioning to short video, the capital chain would not have collapsed so quickly. But as the company's chairman, he had to have a broad vision, consider issues comprehensively, and plan for the long term to drive corporate breakthroughs and innovation. It is just that. In the current situation, the venture has not even reached halfway, and the budget is already exhausted. Knock, knock, knock. Just as Gao Yuanming was deep in thought, a knock came from outside the door. Gao Yuanming made an effort to adjust himself, trying to maintain his composure. "Come in." Wu Peng pushed the door open and entered, his face beaming with smiles, yet somewhat hesitant. "Mr. Gao, hello, I am Wu Peng from the operations department. I heard that our company is currently short on funds and can't even pay salaries." Wu Peng was quite direct. Gao Yuanming seemed to guess Wu Peng's intention the first moment. "If you want to resign, just go to HR. Your salary will be settled." Clearly, Gao Yuanming mistakenly thought Wu Peng was there to resign. No, no, no. Wu Peng waved his hands repeatedly. "Mr. Gao, I am not here to resign. I am here to tell you some good news." Good news. Gao Yuanming was actually a little impatient, mainly because he was bothered right now. The only good news now would be an investment. Anything else would not count as good news. But out of respect for his employee, Gao Yuanming still politely asked, "What good news?" Wu Peng took a few steps forward. "Mr. Gao, do you know Xiao Feng from our operations department? He traded stocks last week and made 5 million in just 1 week. And just now, when I overheard him chatting with his good buddy, he inadvertently revealed that he intends to invest in our company. He has 5 million in cash, you know. If he is willing to invest, would not our company's financial crisis be solved? As Wu Peng finished speaking, Gao Yuanming, who had been sitting there, suddenly stood up. The lifeless expression on his face immediately seemed to regain a glimmer of life. The fact that Xiao Feng had 5 million was not surprising, but if he was willing to invest that 5 million in the company, it could truly get the company back on its feet. Once things started moving, everything would slowly get better. Gao Yuanming immediately seemed to see hope, and his speaking speed became slightly hurried. Are you sure did this Xiao Feng really say that? Of course I'm sure, Wu Peng continued to explain. He has a good buddy named Zhang Yang. I heard their conversation clearly just now, but what Xiao Feng meant just now was that he does want to invest in our company, but he is currently still considering it, and it is not set in stone yet. However, Mr. Gao, if you proactively approach him and discuss it with him, I think, the chances of success will be higher. After Wu Peng finished speaking, Gao Yuanming quickly pondered in his mind. Although his expression showed joy, there was still a hint of concern. If it were 8 million, that would be even better, but this is also fine. With this 5 million, we should be able to get through it. As Gao Yuanming mumbled to himself, he seemed to have made a certain decision. This 5 million investment must be secured. But in the very next second, Gao Yuanming seemed to suddenly recall something that made him even more worried. Gao Yuanming asked with a hint of nervousness, did Xiao Feng ever say how many shares of the company he would want if he invested 5 million? No. Wu Peng shook his head like a rattle drum. I only heard him considering investing in our company, and he indeed has 5 million in his hands. We all saw that with our own eyes last week. As for how many shares he wants, or how much he will invest, I do not know any of that. Anyway, Mr. Gao, the reason I'm telling you this news is because I really do not want to lose this job. So, Mr. Gao, you should proactively go find Xiao Feng and proactively ask him, what if he gets happy and actually invests in us? Then our company would not have to go bankrupt. Nonsense! Who said we are going bankrupt? Gao Yuanming snapped, then immediately changed his tone. All right, you can go out now. I have got this. If this really works out, I will make you the deputy supervisor of your operations department afterward. But one thing, do not tell anyone before this is settled. Keep your mouth shut. All right. All right. All right. Wu Peng excitedly agreed. Thank you, Mr. Gao. Do not worry. My lips are sealed. After Wu Peng left, Gao Yuanming paced back and forth in his office alone. He was constantly calculating in his mind how to get Xiao Feng to agree to invest and how to secure 5 million. Of course, there was one more concern. He was afraid that Xiao Feng, like other investors, would make an exorbitant demand, such as asking for 51% of the shares for 5 million, or even more. In that case, this good news would no longer be good news. Tomorrow I will go find Xiao Feng again. Tonight, I need to go back and really think through how to speak tomorrow to truly move him. And I hope he does not make an exorbitant demand. The day swayed by until it was time to get off work. Except for Xiao Feng, almost all other colleagues spent it in anxiety. Everyone worried about unemployment, worried that the company would not last, and at the same time, began to consider looking for new jobs. The group suffering the most were those who bought Yingchuang's stock, which was a double blow. Because until 3 p.m. today, when the market closed, Yingchuang's stock was still at its limit down. Barring any surprises, it would likely remain this way for the next few days. Before getting off work, Xiao Feng requested half a day off for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, he needed to handle business for his own company, as well as property purchase agreements and so on. Because throughout the day, Dahu's team had secured 3 urgent property sales. The owners were either going abroad or moving. In any case, if Xiao Feng did not buy them, the owners would immediately sell to someone else, even choosing to quickly offload them at a lower price. The prices Xiao Feng offered were almost always slightly above market value. For example, If the normal price was 3,000 per square meter, Xiaofeng would likely offer 3,100 per square meter. In such situations, as long as the seller wanted to sell, a deal could be easily struck. Of course, he would never offer too much more money that would seem a bit too unusual. The 3 properties acquired today were 55 square meters, 37 square meters, and 42 square meters, respectively. With different locations and decorations, the prices naturally varied slightly. But the average price for all of them was almost always between 2,800 and 3,800. These 3 properties combined cost a total of 435,500 yuan, not including various handling fees, property tax, deed tax, etc. But those were small sums, because what was bought for 430,000 would increase tenfold once demolished. This 430,000 would turn into 4.3 million. Xiaofeng also paid Dahu's team 3,000 yuan as commission, so each person could receive 600 yuan just from commissions today, not including their base salary. Similarly, on the Bitcoin side, since the mining machines had not arrived today, the current supply was entirely from recycling. But now, with several people exclusively collecting Bitcoin, they managed to acquire 2026 coins by the end of the day. Current total, 105,709 coins. Very satisfying. On the first day of the company's establishment, calculating for maximum profit, these 3 properties alone could earn 4 million. And the 2026 Bitcoins acquired today have a future value beyond imagination, 1.4 billion. Of course, Bitcoin's value is something that can only be seen in the future, whereas these 3 properties will show returns within a month. Xiaofeng roughly calculated in his mind that centered around Qinghu community, there were at least a dozen neighborhoods of various sizes nearby. Each neighborhood had between 30 and 70 buildings. Since most of the nearby communities were already old and lacked complete facilities, many people had chosen to move out. In this situation, there would naturally be many properties for sale, especially from those eager to go abroad or who had already done so. Their properties were the easiest to acquire. A rough estimate indicated that if 3 properties were acquired per day, approximately 100 could be acquired within a month. At an average cost of 200,000 yuan per property, 100 properties would total 20 million yuan. But afterward, these 100 properties could earn 200 million yuan. Xiaofeng currently had over 40 million yuan in his bank account, let alone acquiring 100 properties. Even 200 would be enough. Furthermore, the money in Xiaofeng's account could continue to make more money. For instance, today at noon, while handling company procedures, Xiaofeng also invested in several stocks. Xiaofeng clearly remembered everything from his past life, as if endowed with memory enhancement. Therefore, he could generally remember very clearly which stocks would rise or skyrocket, making money with casual purchases. Moreover, to avoid drawing too much attention, Xiaofeng would buy several stocks simultaneously, around 2 million yuan per stock. Some he would deliberately buy when they dropped 1% to 3% on the day, just as a cover. Others he would buy when they hit the limit up, and some even with 10x leverage. In short, the stocks that fell usually only dropped by 3%, but the rising stocks often gained over 5%, some with 10x leverage. No matter how he bought, Xiaofeng always made a steady profit, and a very substantial one at that. Thus, the over 40 million yuan in his account would only continue to grow. He could not spend it all, it was simply inexhaustible. But he was truly busy, with hardly any free time. Not only was he busy, but he also had social engagements. Ding-a-ling. It was a call from Yan Wenshin. "Hello, little brother Xiaofeng. I left in a hurry yesterday because there was a very important meeting. I explained it to you at the time. It was about planning and selecting a new site for the branch company. I had to make the decision at that meeting, so I rushed off. But I said I would treat you to dinner, and I must. So I am calling to make an appointment. Are you free tomorrow?" Yan Wenshin naturally wanted to treat him to dinner. Yesterday, during the stone gambling, Xiaofeng had helped Yan Wenshin earn 12 million yuan, recovering all his previous losses. Yan Wenshin insisted on treating him to a meal to properly express his gratitude, and a formal dinner like this naturally required a day's notice. Xiaofeng initially wanted to decline, but then he reconsidered. He was about to establish a new company, and the procedures involved were too complicated. With a big shot like Yan Wenshin, He could not only exchange experiences, but perhaps even utilize his connections. Elder brother Yan, how about tomorrow evening at 7 p.m.? My company is coincidentally going through procedures these past 2 days, and there are some things I do not understand that I would like to ask you about. Xiao Feng was being honest. He truly wanted more experience. Excellent. Yan Wenshan seemed unusually happy. Chuckling, you finally have something to ask me about. I would be more than glad to help. Coincidentally, I have also been having a headache these past 2 days over selecting a new site, so we can chat about it then. All right then, elder brother Yan, see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. It was clear that both seemed to have their troubles. Xiao Feng had his worries, and Yan Wenshan had his seemingly about selecting a location for a new factory. Such a matter was indeed significant, as after choosing a site, land would need to be purchased, and just the land alone could cost hundreds of millions, so the decision had to be precise. In any case, they would just chat tomorrow. Of course, that was for tomorrow. The most important thing now was to hurry home. It was already late, and Miss Li Jinian was waiting for Xiao Feng to come home for dinner. Having a woman who always waited for him to come home for dinner, that was happiness. The next day, Xiao Feng still took half a day off in the morning to continue processing the new company's paperwork and transferring ownership of the 3 properties acquired yesterday. According to current regulations, there were no limits on the number of properties an individual could purchase. So as long as Xiao Feng wished, he could own countless properties. It was not until noon that he finally finished. Just like yesterday, Xiao Feng returned to work at the company around 12:55 p.m. Kess Company. The company's lunch break was from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. daily, and formal work would not resume for another 10 minutes that afternoon. Colleagues were still chatting amongst themselves. However, as soon as Xiao Feng arrived at the company, he felt that everyone's gazes toward him were strange today. The colleagues who had been chatting immediately greeted Xiao Feng enthusiastically upon seeing him, their eyes revealing a hint of nervousness and awe. Previously, Han Shueki was the most enthusiastic, greeting Xiao Feng every day. But at this moment, the enthusiasm of the other colleagues was no less than Han Shueki's. Xiao Feng. Good afternoon. Brother Feng, I missed you after not seeing you all morning. Xiao Feng, you seem even handsomer today. Xiao Feng looked bewildered. These guys, had they taken the wrong medicine? Good afternoon, everyone, Xiao Feng politely replied. Following that, some came over to pour water for Xiao Feng, while others brought small desserts. This behavior was clearly not normal. Xiao Feng glanced at Wu Peng nearby, and Wu Peng instinctively avoided his gaze. Xiao Feng immediately seemed to understand. This guy probably told everyone about his potential investment in KS Company. This fellow was a big mouth, no secrets were safe with him. However, this was also within expectations. Xiao Feng originally intended to use Wu Peng to let the company's chairman, Gao Yuanming, know about the matter and actively seek out Xiao Feng. There was a certain difference between Xiao Feng actively seeking out Gao Yuanming and Gao Yuanming actively seeking out Xiao Feng. It was at this moment. Gao Yuanming, dressed in a formal suit, arrived at the operations department. Instantly, everyone in the operations department collectively exclaimed, "Good afternoon, Chairman." Gao Yuanming first glanced at Xiao Feng, who was sitting at his workstation, then lightly cleared his throat. I have an announcement. Effective today, Xiao Feng from the operations department is officially appointed as the deputy general manager of our KS company. For a moment, everyone looked at Xiao Feng. Xiao Feng had just walked in less than 2 minutes ago, and he was directly promoted to deputy general manager. The key was that he had not done anything yet. Was he promoted and given a raise because he stepped into the company with his left foot first? That was truly outrageous. Of course, both Xiao Feng and his colleagues, after reacting, roughly figured out why Xiao Feng was immediately promoted to deputy general manager. Gao Yuanming had contemplated this move all night yesterday. Although seemingly abrupt, it had its ingenious aspects. It was simple and direct. Afterward, Gao Yuanming also proactively came up to Xiao Feng, his tone full of respect. "Deputy General Manager Xiao, could you come to my office for a moment? I have something to discuss with you." Gao Yuanming's office. "Come, General Manager Xiao Feng. Please sit. Sit! Gao Yuanming lowered his stance, very enthusiastic, even changing his address. As expected of someone who could be a chairman, he immediately addressed Xiao Feng by his title, vigorously highlighting Xiao Feng's current status. Xiao Feng also looked relaxed, completely unfazed, and sat down calmly. Gao Yuanming was about to speak when his phone in his pocket rang again. "Excuse me, I need to take this call first," Gao Yuanming said politely. As the call connected, on the other end of the line, it was still old Liu calling from yesterday. "Hello, old Gao. What have you decided? Are you selling for 8 million or not? Do not say I did not warn you. If the company really goes under, it won't even sell for 800,000. On the other end of the line, old Liu's tone was still arrogant. Gao Yuanming had long been simmering with anger. "Old Liu, just give up on that idea. Forget about whether I can secure an investment even if I can't. Even if it truly goes under, there is no way I will sell it to you for 8 million. All right, old Gao, then just wait to regret it. For your video app, I really do not believe anyone would be willing to invest in you." Beep, 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 on the other end of the line. After speaking, he had already hung up. Damn it. Gao Yuanming looked at the hung-up phone and could not help but curse that bastard. After cursing, Gao Yuanming also realized he had lost his composure a bit. Mainly, both the content of the conversation and his own situation had been heard clearly by Xiao Feng. This was very unfavorable for Gao Yuanming. After all, Gao Yuanming had invited Xiao Feng over to discuss investment and taking a stake in the company. But now, Xiao Feng had effectively heard with his own ears that someone was only willing to spend 8 million to acquire the company. That also meant the company might only be worth 8 million now. And if Gao Yuanming wanted Xiao Feng to invest 5 million, he would certainly have to offer more shares. Gao Yuanming's stiff smile did not look good. General Manager Xiao, please do not mind that call just now. That guy, he was purely taking advantage of my misfortune. My company is worth at least 20 million, but he wants to acquire it for 8 million. What is the difference between that and robbery? Gao Yuanming tried his best to explain himself and also tried extremely hard to prove that the company was worth more than 8 million, but actually valued at 20 million. Mr. Gao, no need to say more. Xiao Feng raised a hand to signal. First, just call me Xiao Feng. I will feel more comfortable hearing that. Secondly, there must be a reason why you suddenly promoted me to Deputy General Manager today. Just tell me directly, okay? Gao Yuanming took a deep breath. Xiao Feng. Then I will get straight to the point. I believe you already know. My KS company is indeed facing a capital crisis, with a break in its capital chain. If there is not a large injection of capital, it will be very difficult to sustain operations, and even, we might truly be unable to pay employees' salaries. But, at this point, Gao Yuanming was clearly unsure how to speak. But, yesterday I happened to hear someone tell me that you recently made 5 million from stock trading. So, Xiao Feng, I will just say it directly, could you consider investing this 5 million into my company? Do not worry. You know my company, it has great development prospects, especially with our recent move to transform into the short video sector. If you are willing to invest, once short videos successfully capture the market in the future, the returns on that 5 million will be much greater than what you earn from the stock market. So Xiao Feng, seeing as you are now also a general manager, could you help the company out? Consider it a plea from Gao Yuanming. After speaking, Gao Yuanming even stood up and bowed deeply to Xiao Feng without hesitation. This action completely exceeded Xiao Feng's prior expectations. This Gao Yuanming was even more sincere than he had imagined, especially his attitude. Xiao Feng also quickly made a gesture to help him up. Mr. Gao, what are you doing? Let us just talk things through. Sigh. Gao Yuanming sighed helplessly again. There is no other way. We are essentially waiting for rice to be put into the pot. If no new capital comes in, my company might just sigh. I understand what you mean. Xiao Feng also appeared very sincere. I have generally understood the situation, and I truly am optimistic about our company's future development prospects, especially our short video project. Upon hearing Xiao Feng say this, a light appeared in Gao Yuanming's eyes, as if he had seen hope. So, from what you're saying, You're willing to invest in the company? Mm-hmm. Xiao Feng nodded decisively. Yes, I am indeed very optimistic about our company's short video development. Also, Mr. Gao, I believe that under your leadership, the company will get better and better. So I have decided I am investing. At this moment, no more words were needed. The three words Gao Yuanming most wanted to hear. He finally heard, I am investing. Excellent. Excellent, Gao Yuanming excitedly gripped Xiao Feng's hand. With this 5 million, the company can slowly start operating and it will definitely succeed. But just as Gao Yuanming finished speaking, suddenly, he slapped his forehead, almost forgot again. The most important question had not been asked yet. Oh, right. Gao Yuanming temporarily suppressed his inner excitement with a slightly nervous emotion. Xiao Feng, for this 5 million you are investing, how much of the company's shares do you want? What Gao Yuanming worried about most was this very question. Because if Xiao Feng made an outrageous demand, all previous efforts would be in vain. And Xiao Feng was also waiting for this sentence. Xiao Feng pretended to ponder for a few seconds, composed and calm. How about this, Mr. Gao? 30% of the company's shares. What do you think? This was also Xiao Feng's consistent psychological expectation. His goal was 30%, no more. Upon hearing 30%, Gao Yuanming's tense facial expression suddenly relaxed, and he let out a huge sigh of relief. The thing he had been worrying about was finally no longer a concern. Because before this, Gao Yuanming had looked for several investors, and one of them had stated that, for 5 million, they wanted 51% of the shares. But even that was considered a relatively low demand. And there were those like old Liu who wanted to take over the entire company for 8 million. Consequently, when he heard Xiao Feng only wanted 30% of the shares for 5 million, Gao Yuanming accepted it very easily, even feeling a bit fortunate. Fortunate that Xiao Feng did not make an outrageous demand. Good. Good, good. Gao Yuanming immediately showed joy. Then it is settled, 5 million for 30% of the shares. Wait a minute, Xiao Feng suddenly interrupted Mr. Gao. From the moment I came in until now, I have never said I wanted to invest 5 million. You are the one who said 5 million. In that instant, Gao Yuanming felt like the sky was falling. His recently excited mood instantly seemed to plunge back into the depths. It is over. Then, Gao Yuanming clearly was not speaking coherently. If it is not 5 million, then how much is it? 4 million for 30% of the shares, or 3 million. Or, Xiao Feng shook his head and held up one finger. For a brief moment, Gao Yuanming's world completely collapsed. Quote, 1 million for 30% of the shares. This is even more ruthless than old Liu. Young people these days truly lack integrity. I might as well have gone to old Liu. Before Gao Yuanming could speak, Xiao Feng immediately spoke. 10 million, Mr. Gao. I will invest 10 million for you, and I only want 30% of the company's shares. Not for anything else, but solely so that our Chinese people can also have their own short video platform. Oh my goodness. I have heard of making money while standing. Xiao Feng is acquiring shares while standing. And he said it so smoothly, the whole person was sublimated. The reason Xiao Feng wanted to invest 10 million was because in his memory, Gao Yuanming was short of 8 million in capital at the time, while 5 million could also get them through. It would involve a certain time cost, but 8 million would be just right. And Xiao Feng directly investing 10 million could further accelerate the original progress, shorten time costs, and achieve profitability sooner. As the perspective shifted, colleagues in the operations department were still chatting idly when they suddenly heard a heartfelt exclamation from the chairman's office in the distance. It sounded like a shout. Xiao Feng. This is true integrity. On behalf of all KS employees, I express our sincere gratitude to you. Our company has come back to life. At this moment, no further words were needed. Xiao Feng ultimately invested 10 million yuan and successfully acquired 30% of K's company's shares. Would reach A return rate of 10,000 times. The most absurd thing was that Xiaofeng's shareholding was truly a standing investment, and Gao Yuanming was genuinely grateful to Xiaofeng. Especially this last wave. Gao Yuanming originally thought 5 million yuan would get him 30% of the shares, but who would have thought Xiaofeng voluntarily gave 10 million yuan? Gao Yuanming would never forget this favor for the rest of his life. In fact, if one were to take a step back, Gao Yuanming's current company was probably worth about 30 million yuan in total. And 10 million yuan for 30% of the shares was indeed a considerable amount. But the current situation was different. Someone before had offered 8 million yuan for an acquisition, and another person had offered 5 million yuan for 51% of the shares. These actions essentially paved the way for Xiaofeng in advance, making his investment smoother. Just like that, Xiaofeng invested in the company for 30% of the shares and was now even the company's deputy general manager. The reason for being a deputy general manager was merely a nominal position, something good to say publicly, and it would not affect the company's normal operations. In the end, it was just an additional deputy general manager position. And Xiaofeng did not have to worry about the company, yet held a position and even received a salary of 50,000 yuan per month. Of course, neither this position nor the salary truly mattered. It was just Gao Yuanming expressing his attitude. Similarly, Xiaofeng also directly stated that in the days to come, his visits to the company would become increasingly infrequent. Xiaofeng would be busy with his own company next. Since he had already achieved his goal, his visits would naturally decrease in the future. Even if he came, it would only be to check on the company's progress. And Gao Yuanming naturally agreed without hesitation. Do not worry, Xiaofeng, even if you do not come once a month, I will still pay your salary into your card on time every month. In short, this position will always be reserved for you. You have half the say in any company decision. You are the hero of my company. You saved my company. No, you saved our company. Every word Gao Yuanming said expressed his gratitude to Xiaofeng. Oh, right. General Manager Gao, Xiaofeng said with a hint of intention, although I will be coming to the company less often in the future, and it will be hard for me to dedicate myself fully to the company. Our company still has quite a few talents. For example, Zhang Yang, who is in the same department as me. He is quite a capable person, I suppose. You might want to pay more attention to him. Xiaofeng's words were clearly hinting at something. With Xiaofeng's current status, he could completely and directly propose to Gao Yuanming to give Zhang Yang a promotion and raise. But if he said it too directly, it would seem like he was ordering Gao Yuanming. Moreover, how could Gao Yuanming not understand what Xiaofeng meant? Zhang Yang, Gao Yuanming recalled, Oh, I remember him. I often run into him in the restroom in the mornings. Speaking of which, he has been with us for quite some time. He should be from the previous graduating class, having joined about a year ago, so he is considered a semi-senior employee. These next couple of days, I will thoroughly assess his capabilities. If he is suitable, such an excellent employee should indeed be given important responsibilities. We must not let talent go unnoticed. Gao Yuanming's reply was textbook perfect. He neither immediately agreed to Xiaofeng, as that would have been too obvious, nor did he fail to give Xiaofeng enough face, because Gao Yuanming's so-called thorough assessment was nothing more than an excuse. Zhang Yang was guaranteed a promotion and raise. The reason Xiaofeng did this was simply to give Zhang Yang a hand. Although it was not a huge boost, at least, he genuinely helped him. And besides, this was only the beginning, and future development was still a long way off. Just like that, Xiaofeng moved from his original workstation to his exclusive deputy general manager's office. And all company employees, starting today, officially changed their address to General Manager Xiao. From now on, he was General Manager Xiao Deputy. 6 p.m. Today was the day he had arranged with Yan Wenshan to have dinner together at 7 p.m. Before getting off work, Xiaofeng had already transferred all the Bitcoin Hu had collected today into his account. The mining machines would not arrive until tomorrow, so today's Bitcoin was still entirely acquired through purchases. Today's Bitcoin inflow, 1996 coins. Current total, dear, den in 10,705. The mining machines would arrive tomorrow, and then he would be collecting and mining simultaneously, increasing the daily Bitcoin inflow even more. As for Dahu's team, just like yesterday, they negotiated 3 more houses today, and progress was quite smooth. Regarding Xiaofeng, although his total expenditures today amounted to over 11 million yuan, his total stock earnings brought in over 6 million yuan again. Xiaofeng had bought a total of 18 million yuan in stocks, purchasing 9 different ones. Some fell, some rose. The declines were minor, while the increases were significant, with several stocks even having 10x leverage, which resulted in another 6 million yuan in hand. Currently remaining in the card, 36.53 million yuan. And today's biggest achievement was undoubtedly the 10 million yuan investment for 30% of KOS Company's shares. All of a sudden, Xiaofeng started calculating his favorite math again. If everything was calculated for long-term maximum profit, the 3 houses acquired today cost a total of 550,000 yuan, which would likely turn into 5.5 million yuan a month later, meaning a profit of 5 million yuan from this deal. As for the 1996 Bitcoin received today, that would be much more at 700,000 yuan per coin in the future. Wow, that is 1.4 billion yuan. But even more outrageous was undoubtedly the 10 million yuan investment for 30% of the shares, which would be worth 100 billion yuan in the future. 5 million, 1.4 billion, 100 billion. Thinking of this, Xiaofeng's smile was like an AK-47, impossible to suppress. But in the end, apart from the demolition houses where he could see a return in a month, the other 2 would have to wait. However, it did not matter. It was not like he would not live to see that day. So why rush? As the time reached 7 p.m., the dinner appointment with Yan Wenshan was set. The scene shifted. Yan Wenshan had invited Xiaofeng to a 5-star grand hotel. Eating here, a table would cost at least several thousand yuan, and that did not even include drinks. If a good bottle of wine was ordered, a meal costing hundreds of thousands of yuan was possible. Come on, my brother Xiaofeng. Today we must have a good drink together. We won't go home until we are drunk. Xiaofeng immediately spotted the high-end red wine on the table. That bottle of red wine. Theoretically, Xiaofeng should not have recognized it. But with memories from his previous life, he had seen it in movies in his past life. Romane Conti. Even though it was currently 2010, seeing the year 1976 written on it, he could roughly estimate it would cost at least 100,000 yuan per bottle. Elder brother Yan, you are too kind, even ordering such an expensive wine. Oh, Yan Wenshan chuckled. This is nothing, you know. That day you helped me earn back 12 million yuan. I do not even know how to thank you. By the way, my brother Xiaofeng, I heard you mention on the phone yesterday that you are starting a new company recently. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If you need any help, do not hesitate to speak up. It is nothing much, just that the company registration procedures are a bit troublesome, and also what matters to pay attention to when a new company just opens. What details should not be overlooked. After all, elder brother Yan, you definitely have more experience than I do. Xiaofeng and Yan Wenshan began to chat casually. Whenever Xiaofeng had questions, Yan Wenshan truly spoke without reservation, especially regarding some of the most critical potential pitfalls a company should focus on, which were all experiences Yan Wenshan had figured out himself. He shared these experiences with Xiaofeng without holding anything back. Since Xiaofeng was not Yan Wenshan's competitor, for a moment, it felt as if the two were kindred spirits despite their age difference. My brother Xiaofeng, everything I have told you today pertains to the potential pitfalls to watch out for when starting a company, including hiring, reserve funds, separating shares from control. If the company grows large, you must find professional financial personnel or a reliable accounting firm. None of these can be taken lightly. Of course, if you do not understand anything, or if you need anything, such as an accounting firm or management talent, I can recommend some to you. Actually, the simplest thing is to hire a professional CEO, a professional manager with a substantial sum, and let him handle everything. In that case, as the owner, you only need to make major decisions for the company. To put it simply, look at business opportunities from a capital perspective, select good investment projects, and then Let the professional manager handle all operational strategies. In short, it is still the same thing I said just now. If you do not understand anything or need anything, feel free to contact me at any time. Yan Wenshan shared all his experiences without reservation, also to prevent Xiaofeng from stumbling. After discussing these matters, Xiaofeng still absorbed a lot of useful information, especially the issues to pay attention to after growing bigger and stronger. All right, thank you for sharing, Elder Brother Yan. It was truly insightful. By the way, yesterday on the phone, I heard you say you were also opening a new company recently. Xiaofeng asked casually out of curiosity. No. Yan Wenshan waved his hand. Do not even mention it whenever I bring it up. I get a headache. It is not about starting a company, but rather that the company wants to build another new factory. If we are building a new factory, choosing the land is very important, as we need to buy the land and then build on it. But what gives me a headache now is deciding which location to choose, because there are 3 options in total. The third one can be ruled out. The first and second seem plausible, but both have their pros and cons. Yan Wenshan casually brought up the matter that had been bothering him for the past 2 days, the undecided choice of land for the new factory. Originally, Xiaofeng was not concerned, but then he thought, Yan Wenshan had truly spoken without reservation today, and Xiaofeng already had memories from his past life. Regarding land selection, he knew very well which plots would be good in the future, and which ones were not worth acquiring. Elder Brother Yan, why do not you tell me which locations you have decided on as your options, and I can help you analyze them? Since it was just casual conversation, Yan Wenshan recounted them offhand. The first location is closest to the branch factory, but the land is too expensive, requiring 150 million yuan. The small factory I am building is not that big, so it does not need to be so costly. The second location, I am actually most satisfied with, although it is relatively far from the factory, all the way to the suburbs. But the price is cheap. The land is 70 million yuan. As for the third one, speaking of the third, Yan Wenshan's face showed visible disdain. Do not even mention the third one. Not only is it far, but that piece of land would cost 100 million yuan, and it is also semi-suburban, all the way in the Qinghu Street area of Dadong District. I definitely would not consider it. So, what is giving me a headache now is choosing between the first and the second. The first is close, but the price is too high, not cost-effective. But the second, although a bit farther, the price is only... Wait a minute. Xiaofeng interrupted Yan Wenshan without hesitation. Elder Brother Yan, where is that third location you just mentioned? It is in that Dadong district. What is it called? The Qinghu Street area. There is an old factory that has been abandoned for a long time, Yan Wenshan said casually. When he heard Qinghu Street, Dadong district, Xiaofeng's pupils trembled slightly. Because Xiaofeng used to live in that area, Qinghu community on Qinghu Street. That place was going to be demolished in a month. Elder Brother Yan, I think. You should choose the third one. Originally, Xiaofeng thought today was just a dinner party to gain experience. But unexpectedly, there was an unexpected bonus. That was Qinghu Street, and the surrounding area was going to be developed into a commercial city, essentially the new commercial center of the entire Dadong district. Currently, there was no news about this matter. The authorities had not yet made it public, and an announcement would only be issued after the documents arrived. Even if this piece of land with the abandoned factory were sold for 100 million yuan, the land price would not actually be expensive, as that area, although semi-suburban, was only 20 kilometers from the city center. However, Yan Wenshan felt that this option among the 3 was not cost-effective, which was why he eliminated this third option. But now, after Xiaofeng knew, the situation was different. Xiaofeng had considered it before, but that was 100 million yuan, an amount he simply could not afford on his own. Moreover, such a piece of land was not something Xiaofeng could buy immediately. Even if he had 100 million yuan, it required various approvals. Xiaofeng had not even officially completed his company's procedures yet, so he could not even consider it. But if it were Yan Wenshan's Risheng Group, if he wanted to purchase this piece of land, it would save a lot of trouble and could be fully completed within a week. As a result, when Xiaofeng heard about this crucial piece of land, he almost immediately suggested that Yan Wenshan choose the third option. Yan Wenshan's brows were almost twisted into a knot at this moment. Choose the third one, the one on King Hu Street, that abandoned factory. Yan Wenshan instinctively asked 3 questions in a row. Yes, Xiaofeng remained resolute, his tone very firm. This was no small matter. After a 3-second hesitation, Yan Wenshan said, Brother Xiaofeng, although I, your elder brother, really trust your judgment. This piece of land is truly not cost-effective. Firstly, this land is quite far from my main factory. Although it is not as far as the second option, the distance is still considerable. Secondly, the price of this land is 100 million yuan, while the second option is only 70 million yuan. So it is expensive and far, with the lowest cost-performance ratio. Why would you ask me to choose this third one? Yan Wenshan also stated the pros and cons. Faced with Yan Wenshan's question, Xiaofeng naturally could not tell him about the future demolition. Xiaofeng's mind raced. He had to come up with a reasonable excuse. It is like this, Brother Yan. I know the piece of land you just mentioned. It is an old, abandoned factory that is currently deserted. The reason I know it so well is because I used to live nearby and would pass by it every day after work. You should have seen the data and photos of that factory. Its area is quite large, probably several thousand square meters. And you just said you do not need something that big. As for me, I have also been considering needing a smaller factory recently. Just over 1,000 square meters would be enough. And the location I am considering happens to be nearby, as I am very familiar with that area. So I have an idea, Brother Yan. Would you like to hear it? Xiaofeng first briefly explained why he knew about that land and intentionally stated his own needs. Oh, Yan Wenshan immediately showed great interest. Brother Xiaofeng, speak boldly. I am listening carefully. Xiaofeng sat up straight from the back of his chair and began to concoct a serious fabrication. It is like this. Since Brother Yan and I both happen to need a piece of land to build a factory, why do not we just merge and buy it together? Think about it, Brother Yan. The reason you think the third option is not cost-effective is because its price is too high, a full 100 million yuan. And you prefer the previous second piece of land because its price is only 70 million yuan, but it is particularly far from your factory. And this third piece, although also far from your factory, is not as far as the second one. Furthermore, if we merge to buy it, I can contribute 30 million yuan, which means you would effectively only spend 70 million yuan. At that time, the factory could have 2 entrances. I would only use my just over 1,000 square meters, and the rest would be yours. You use yours, I use mine. Would not that be perfect? When Xiaofeng proposed buying it together, Yan Wenshan's eyes lit up at first, but after a few seconds, he still felt a bit confused. Brother Xiaofeng, the method you mentioned is indeed feasible, and I am very happy with it. After all, I would not be able to use such a large space anyway. So for us to buy it together would definitely be more suitable for me. But Brother Xiaofeng, if you only need just over 1,000 square meters, you could rent one. The reason I absolutely must buy is because I need it for long-term use, and this land will be purchased in my personal name. Furthermore, your new company has just been established. There is no need to spend 30 million yuan to buy a piece of land. Is there? You are the one for whom this is not suitable. Yan Wenshan was still the same, naturally considering the problem from Xiaofeng's perspective. But Xiaofeng was not aiming for a factory. He did not have a business that needed one. He was aiming for the demolition a month later, all for this piece of land. Even if he bought it with Yan Wenshan, as long as he owned 30%, once demolished, this piece of land could yield at least 1 billion yuan. If it were 1 billion yuan, even distributed proportionally, Xiaofeng could instantly earn 300 million yuan. Xiaofeng could not handle it alone, which was why he chose to partner with Yan Wenshan. Moreover, Yan Wenshan would be the one truly not losing out. He could get 700 million yuan, probably enough to make him kowtow to Xiaofeng. After all, Yan Wenshan was currently only considering the first and second pieces of land. It was Xiaofeng who made him choose the third one. Faced with Yan Wenshan's questions, Xiaofeng had already thought of a suitable reply. I have checked the nearby areas in advance, and none of them are suitable, only this one is just right. And I am not losing out either. Although I spent 30 million yuan, I am still holding 30% of the land shares. Furthermore, I am someone who considers things for the long term, and for any matter, I always consider the worst possible outcome. After all, I am only 22 years old now, holding tens of millions in cash. With so much money in hand, it is easy for me to fall into big traps at that time. If my business fails and I lose too much, becoming bankrupt, would not this 30 million yuan land be my chance to bounce back? This is also tantamount to me, indirectly, saving money for myself, saving a safeguard. With Xiao Feng's explanation, Yan Wenshan suddenly had an epiphany and could not help but give a thumbs up. All right, brother Xiao Feng, it is truly rare for you to have such a sense of risk awareness. Indeed, young people in your age group, although some are accomplished at a young age, most tend to stumble badly due to their youth, losing everything and finding it hard to recover. And if you use this money to buy land, it can indeed provide you with an extra fallback, an additional guarantee for a comeback. All right then, brother Xiao Feng, I will choose this third piece. We will buy it together. I will own 70% of the land, and you will own 30%. We will draw up a separate contract. If, and I mean if, you ever need money urgently in the future, or want to sell it for cash, I will directly buy back your 30% and pay you according to the market price at that time. What do you think? That is great, brother Yan. It is settled then. Xiao Feng readily agreed. And so Xiao Feng and Yan Wenshan reached an agreement, marking their first true collaboration. This piece of land totaled 100 million yuan. Yan Wenshan paid 70 million yuan, owning 70% of the land. Xiao Feng put out 30 million yuan, owning 30% of it. Although Yan Wenshan bought this land for the group's use, it was purchased in his personal name, and in any case, the entire group belonged to Yan Wenshan. Therefore, Xiao Feng's 30 million yuan would still require a separate agreement and contract with Yan Wenshan. But none of that mattered. What mattered was that Xiao Feng's 30% ownership, acquired for 30 million yuan, would likely increase tenfold a month later. Thinking of this, Xiao Feng raised his wine glass. Come, brother Yan. Cheers, may your group prosper more and more. Come, brother Xiao Feng, I also wish your new company all the best. Cheers. The two truly would not leave until they were drunk today. Both their worries were resolved, and they had also established a partnership, thus creating a beneficial relationship. From 7 p.m., the two drank until 10 p.m. before leaving, feeling tipsy. As they left the star-rated restaurant, Xiao Feng, feeling groggy from drinking, seemed to have seen the back of a familiar woman, but he did not pay too much attention. Anyway, as long as it was not Li Jinian, Xiao Feng did not care about any other woman. Who cares who it was? As time accelerated. In the following days, Xiao Feng still had endless tasks every day, almost unable to rest. Fortunately, although there were many things to deal with, everything went very smoothly, especially since the company officially obtained its business license. All procedures have been completed, and Polaris Company was officially established. Of course, this is only temporary. In the future, it will become Polaris Group. In the past few days, Xiao Feng was busy with four main things. First, the company's procedures were perfected and it was officially established. In the future, employee benefits, including the 5 social insurances and 1 housing fund, would be comprehensive. Second, a separate land contract was signed with Yan Wenshan, securing 30% of the land. Once Yan Wenshan's transaction was fully completed, Xiao Feng would immediately transfer all 30 million yuan. Third, the Bitcoin mining machines had arrived and were fully installed. Mining could officially begin, with 20 machines mining simultaneously. Even if they were not yet skilled, they could still mine at least 1,000 to 1,800 coins per day. Fourth, continuing to acquire houses for sale near Qinghu community. Regardless of the area or decoration quality, as long as the owners were willing to sell, Xiao Feng bought them all. In the past 2 days, just handling the property procedures kept him extremely busy. These were the 4 things he had been busy with recently. Actually, there was a 5th thing, but the 5th thing was just a matter of convenience, simply clicking to buy, which was stocks. Although Xiao Feng had to pay Yan Wenshan 30 million yuan, Yan Wenshan's purchasing procedures were also complicated and required waiting for the transaction to be fully completed. As a result, Xiao Feng still had over 36 million yuan in hand, and he continued to invest in stocks with this amount. He still bought multiple stocks simultaneously, purchasing 2 million yuan of each. He deliberately bought a few slightly falling stocks as a cover, while the others were surging stocks. Coupled with partial 10x leverage, he could make a substantial profit every day. However, Xiao Feng always maintained a certain limit and would not go too far. Going too far would inevitably attract attention. After all, if Xiao Feng truly wanted to go overboard, he could directly buy all stocks that hit their daily limit, apply 10x leverage to all of them, and earn tens of millions in a single day. But that would be too conspicuous and easily targeted by special departments. Of course, even with his current operations, Xiao Feng could still rake in substantial profits, daily, easily several millions, in just a few days. Despite daily expenses, the balance in Xiao Feng's bank card continued to grow. Bank balance, 37.85 million yuan. Bank balance, 42.53 million yuan. Bank balance, 48.66 million yuan. In just a few days. Using over 30 million yuan in capital, he earned another 10 million yuan in the stock market. And it was a very stable profit. As for Bitcoin these past few days, the quantity had also reached a new breakthrough. Since having mining machines and online recovery, at least 3,000 coins were credited daily. Mr. Xiao. Today's mined Bitcoin, including those acquired, totals 3,452 coins. After the transfer to the account was completed, Xiao Feng looked at the 124,507 Bitcoins currently in his account and was very satisfied. Everyone worked hard today. In addition to your normal commission today, each person in Team 2 will receive an extra 200 yuan cash red packet. Xiao Feng also gave everyone a small red packet as a reward. Do not underestimate the 200 yuan per person. It was already quite a lot. Team 2 consisted of 6 people today. The commission alone was 3,452 yuan, averaging 575 yuan per person. Combined with their base salary and the 200 yuan red packet, their single-day income exceeded 1,000 yuan. In 2010, earning 1,000 yuan a day just by collecting Bitcoin was a dream job. Everyone in Second Tiger's team thanked him in unison. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. Not only did this team get commissions, but Monk also got commissions. For both Team 1 and Team 2, Monk could additionally take 3% of all commissions. Looking at Xiao Feng's current 124,507 Bitcoins, Monk could not help but scratch his head, truly not understanding. Xiao Feng, my good brother. Cough. Mr. Xiao, you have already accumulated 120,000 Bitcoins. Are you still going to continue accumulating? And the current market price of Bitcoin is almost 7 yuan per coin. You know, it was only 50 cents a coin last month, and now it has risen to 7 yuan. What if it crashes someday? We would be stuck with it. Monk once again raised his concerns, also considering Xiao Feng's interests. Xiao Feng simply patted Monk's shoulder. It is fine. It is still the same old saying. I will take as many as there are, and I will accept it if I lose money. Just then, Big Tiger's team also returned. Second Tiger's team was responsible for Bitcoin, and Big Tiger's team was responsible for acquiring houses. After Big Tiger came in, he seemed a bit eager for praise. Mr. Xiao, we negotiated another 5 units today, the kind that can be signed tomorrow. Are not we great? Well done. Xiao Feng also gave a thumbs up, excluding your normal commission. Each of you will also be rewarded with a 200 yuan red packet today, as if I am treating you to a late-night snack. Everyone. Wow, Xiao Feng alone distributed over 3,000 yuan in red packets to his employees today. Oh, right. Xiao Feng turned to look at Momo. Momo, you too. You also get a red packet. Momo looked completely surprised. Mr. Xiao, I'm just an accountant. Can I also receive a red packet? Of course, because you are also one of us, and you're very important. You worked hard, Xiao Feng replied sincerely. This was also one of Xiao Feng's methods for winning people over, taking care of every employee and valuing each one. This way, employees would always consider their boss's interests. Of course, employees being too considerate of their boss is not necessarily a good thing, as many of Xiao Feng's operations would be incomprehensible to everyone. Just like now, Monk once again raised a question. Mr. Xiao, although I know we should just follow instructions and not ask too many questions, I truly do not quite understand. You are holding Bitcoin for appreciation, but why are you acquiring so many houses near King Hu Street? So far, you have already acquired 20 units. These houses won't appreciate in that area, and you can't live in so many. The question Monk asked was also one that had puzzled everyone. Moreover, Xiao Feng had to have a reasonable explanation for this question. Not to explain to Monk, but to outsiders. Because once demolition occurred a month later, Xiao Feng's acquisition of so many houses in advance would inevitably arouse suspicion from others, who would assume he had insider information. Just then, Big Tiger, as the team leader responsible for acquiring houses, also brought up the most frequently asked question in recent days. Yes, Mr. Xiao. Why are we acquiring so many houses? The main thing is that these past 2 days, when we went out to acquire houses, some homeowners would casually ask why we were buying so many units. Each time, I would casually respond that it was for company needs, but I did not know how to explain the specific reason to them. This question indeed needed a good answer. Xiao Feng had long prepared a set of explanations. It is like this. If anyone else asks you why the company is acquiring so many houses, just tell them the truth. No need to hide anything. You all know that I used to live nearby, and our company will definitely be involved in physical businesses in the future. 2 days ago, I spent 30 million yuan to buy a piece of land there, and our factory will be built there in the future. In other words, most of our company's employees will work there in the future. Since they will be working there, I will definitely provide free accommodation. That is why I am acquiring some houses nearby in advance. These houses will be used as dormitories for employees in the future, and not in a shared style where several people live together, but rather 1 unit per person or 1 unit for a couple. In other words, as long as you are an employee of Polaris Company and do not own a house in Zhengzhen City, I will provide free housing for you, treating it as a dormitory. Think about it. Normally, you would pay at least 500 to 1,500 yuan a month for rent. But now I am providing free dormitories, 1 unit per person, which will relieve your housing pressure. With Xiao Feng's explanation in an instant, everyone suddenly understood. At the same time as they realized, everyone even got teary-eyed. It turned out, all along, the reason Xiao Feng acquired so many houses was for employee benefits to relieve everyone's rental pressure. Employee dormitories. 1 unit per person. What kind of heavenly dormitory is this? Holy cow, Monk instinctively exclaimed. Mr. Xiao, you are too good to our employees. You have thought so far ahead. Yes, Mr. Xiao. What kind of divine welfare benefit is this? Not only free accommodation, but 1 unit per person. Xiao Feng's clever explanation not only immediately became logical and reasonable, but also left everyone a little touched. No, they were too touched. Big Tiger also became more motivated. Mr. Xiao, do not worry. Our team will acquire at least 5 units tomorrow. Second Tiger also refused to be outdone. With such great welfare benefits, our team will have to work harder tomorrow. We will strive to mine and acquire 5,000 bitcoins tomorrow. Suddenly, everyone was not only full of enthusiasm, but also full of anticipation. Xiao Feng's explanation today completely dispelled everyone's doubts, and it also provided a reasonable explanation to outsiders. Outwardly, they would say it was for employee welfare housing, to relieve employees of rental pressure by providing free dormitories. Then, by chance, who knew that a month later it would be demolished? By then, people would probably say, Xiao Feng received good karma, he deserved to earn this money. Blame him for being too good to his employees, which coincidentally led to the demolition. Xiao Feng truly managed to make money honorably every time. No, that is not right. He earned the money righteously amidst a chorus of praises. Of course, although demolition was inevitable a month later, Xiao Feng's words today were definitely valid. In the future, he would indeed provide housing for employees with free occupancy. Xiao Feng would not shortchange them this benefit. Providing free housing was originally one of Xiao Feng's planned benefits. In short, everyone became increasingly motivated. Mr. Xiao, another handsome young man wants to sell Bitcoin, 355 coins. Mr. Xiao, I have also secured another unit on my end, 120 square meters. Buy them all. August 9th. In a blink of an eye, it had been a month since Sean had been reborn and returned. Today was Monday, another wonderful week, and also a busy week. Sean first went to the bank at noon and transferred 30 million, according to the contract they had, separately drafted to Yen Wenshan. Yen Wenshan had also completed the transaction, successfully purchasing the piece of land worth 100 million. It was now officially completed. This piece of land was currently entirely owned by Yen Wenshan and Sean. Now they just needed to wait for the demolition announcement in a month. Of course, it no longer needed a month. The announcement would likely come by the end of this month, with just over 20 days left. After Sean transferred the 30 million, his current balance was still 22.96 million. Mainly throughout last week, Sean used 36 million to make a hefty profit in the stock market again. This was already quite low-key. If he truly did not consider the impact and was not afraid of being monitored, then as a reborn person, earning 100 million from 36 million in 1 week would be completely effortless. Looking at the remaining 22.96 million, Sean also began planning his next direction. He would keep a low profile for now, temporarily avoiding stocks. Even if he did invest, it would only be a few million, and in ordinary growth stocks. As for 10x leverage and such, that was out of the question for now. The main direction next, naturally, would be Bitcoin and property acquisition. Property acquisition was something that would bring immediate returns, while Bitcoin was a wealth investment for the future. Over the past week, Sean had currently acquired a total of 25 properties. Each property varied in square footage, with the smallest being only 25 square meters and the largest 155 square meters. The size in square meters and the different renovations naturally meant different prices. The cheapest even cost only 80,000 yuan, while the most expensive was no more than 520,000 yuan per property. Most were smaller, with many being 50 square meters, costing around 150,000 yuan per property. In summary, on average, each property was 200,000 yuan. The 25 properties acquired so far had cost a total of over 5 million yuan. He currently had 22.96 million yuan in his card. Sean's estimated target was to acquire about 100 properties, and the money in his card was definitely sufficient. Of course, the more money spent, the better, because it meant greater future returns. After transferring 30 million to Yen Wenshan, Sean walked out of the bank and made 2 consecutive phone calls. The first was to Yen Wenshan, telling him to check for the transfer. The two then chatted symbolically for a few moments. Their conversation was simply about going back to the same star-rated restaurant another day when they had time to drink until they dropped. Although the two were 30 years apart in age, a friendship transcending generations knew no age limits. They were almost like brothers. As for the second call, "Hey, Dad, how have you been feeling lately?" It is Sean. On the other end of the line, Sean Jianguo's voice was clearly different from before, with more confidence. "I have been feeling great lately. I eat well, do not suffer from insomnia anymore, and walk faster than before. Mostly, I am in a good mood, because my son is capable now." Now, Sean Jianguo walked with his back straight in the village. After a lifetime of bending, he could finally stand tall. Moreover, even his semi-disabled left leg was now much nimbler than before. And all of this was because he heard Sean was doing well, and last month Sean had even sent Sean Jianguo 100,000 yuan. This 100,000 yuan in the countryside. Xian Jianguo could not even spend it all in a year, even if he ate, drank, played, and enjoyed himself every day. Of course, the most important thing was a good mood, fewer ailments, and better circulation. In his previous life, Sean Jianguo had passed away when Sean was 30, which was 8 years later, simply due to immense stress. It was not due to any major illness at the time, but simply too much stress, coupled with overwork and poor leg mobility. But now, in just 1 month, his spirit and vitality were like that of a completely different person. Hearing his father's reply, Sean felt a deep sense of accomplishment and even a little pride at that moment, believing that everything was worth it. "Dad, keep an eye on your bank card's deposit notification. I just transferred another 100,000 yuan to you. It is for this month's living expenses. If it is not enough, just let me know anytime. After Sean said this, he even felt a bit cool himself. On the other end of the phone, Sean Jianguo first paused, a bit dazed, completely bewildered. What? You sent me another 100,000 yuan. Sean, you just sent me 100,000 last month, and I have only spent less than 10,000 in total. Why are you sending another 100,000? I am already this old. I can't spend it all. Besides, Sean, you should keep the money for yourself. It is useful to you too. What if you have an emergency someday and do not have money? Xian Jianguo had been poor his whole life. It used to be hard for him to earn 3,000 yuan a month, and because his leg was semi-disabled, he was also ostracized. Even later, collecting scraps, dragging his semi-disabled leg, working 13 hours a day from morning till night. He could at most earn 4,000 yuan a month, exhausting himself. But now, Sean had sent 100,000 last month, and another 100,000 this month, clearly stating it was for monthly living expenses. This was undoubtedly equivalent to showering his old father with money. Xian Jianguo was a bit stunned by the onslaught. He had never seen so much money, and was being forced to spend it all. Dad, do not worry. I have already started a company here in Jiangzhen City. I can currently earn millions a month, and there is almost no risk, so you do not have to worry about me going bankrupt. Go ahead and spend boldly. Secondly, 100,000 yuan a month is your living expense. You figure out a way to try and spend it all. Otherwise, I might really donate it, and do not blame me for making things difficult for you. Lastly, as I told you last time, you have been single for so many years. Living alone is not really the way to go. You should find a companion to live with, and you can look out for each other. Oh, and also, there'll be another 100,000 next month, and every month after that. You just enjoy yourself, do not worry about anything else. Sean's words sounded a bit tough, almost like he was giving Sean Jianguo a task. 1 billion yuan a month. Figure out how to spend it all. Sean also specifically stated that he was now running a company with a stable monthly income of over $1 million and very low risk. He said this to allow Sean Jianguo to spend boldly and without worry. For a moment, Sean Jianguo held the phone, his spirit and vitality even stronger. His son was now running a company with a monthly income of millions, which was more stable and had higher value than earning millions from stock trading. He really should consider finding someone younger. Okay, Sean, I will work hard to try and spend all 100,000 every month. Do not disappoint me. This was the last thing Sean said before hanging up. Since today was Monday, Sean had not been back to 3A's company since he went last Tuesday. He planned to go check it out today. After all, he was both a major shareholder and the deputy general manager of KS Company. He could not possibly not go even once a week. Moreover, Zion had just sent Sean a message this morning saying there was good news waiting to be told to him. He wondered what the good news was. KS Company. As soon as Xiao Feng entered the company, every employee who saw him uniformly called out General Manager Xiao. Indeed, now, no matter where he went, it was General Manager Xiao. It did not matter if he made money or not. He just loved hearing others call him General Manager Xiao. Xiao Feng arrived at noon, just as everyone had finished lunch and were chatting idly. Without a doubt, the guys in the operations department were discussing stocks again. Today was Monday, and the market had reopened. And although Yingchuang was no longer limit down, it was still trending downwards. Fortunately, they could finally sell now. In the end, everyone who had initially chosen not to blindly trust Xiao Feng had to cut their losses and sell, losing a significant amount of money. Each of them swore never to touch stocks again. Sigh. Sold. Sold. Yingchuang was limit down for a week straight, and today, I can finally sell all of it. I lost over 30,000 yuan. Do not even mention it. I lost 50,000 yuan. I won't touch stocks anymore either. It is really not something we can figure out. You're telling me I bought 200,000 yuan back then. I am completely numb from the loss. It is all Luke's fault. He insisted it would still go up and told us not to believe Xiao Feng. If it were not for him, we would not have lost so much. Oh, he is already gone. Why bring him up? Xiaofeng seemed to have heard a keyword. Luke was gone. Ahem. Just then, Zhang Yang appeared behind Xiaofeng at some point. He even coughed twice. Xiaofeng subconsciously turned his head, and when he saw Zhang Yang clearly, he almost stumbled. His gaze fell upon Zhang Yang. Zhang Yang was wearing a crisp suit, with half a pocket square deliberately exposed in his suit's breast pocket, an attire reserved for gentlemen. Looking at Zhang Yang's polished leather shoes and his side-swept hairstyle, he even had a bow tie fastened at his collar. One might mistake him for a gentleman from somewhere, as if he were getting married. But while this outfit looked very gentlemanly on Zhang Yang, it unequivocally spelled out 4 words: a wolf in sheep's clothing. How about it, Xiaofeng? Am I handsome? Damn, Xiaofeng scoffed with disdain. No! Why are you dressing up like a human for no reason? Zhang Yang deliberately adjusted his bow tie, then pointed to the work badge on his chest. Look at this. I got promoted. I am now the department's deputy supervisor. Xiaofeng looked at Zhang Yang helplessly. So, this is the good news you told me about. That is right. Is not this good news? Saying this, Zhang Yang leaned in close and whispered, and not only did I get promoted, Luca also got fired. That day, General Manager Gao called me to his office and asked some questions about you. I mentioned Luke, and when General Manager Gao heard I had a conflict with you, he fired him the next day, and then I was promoted to deputy supervisor. Now my base salary is $8,000 a month, not including performance bonuses. If you count everything, I am making at least $10,000 a month now. This is all thanks to you, Godfather. Zhang Yang's godfather clearly indicated that he himself knew very well why he was promoted to deputy supervisor. Xiaofeng also spoke in a joking tone, feigning seriousness. Then you, godson, must work hard too. At least live up to that salary. Of course. Zhang Yang's voice was full of pride. I do not even take paid bathroom breaks in the morning. Now I go during my breaks. You can see how ambitious I am. Afterward, Xiaofeng went to the technical department. His main purpose today was to check on the progress of the app. Coincidentally, Gao Yuanming was also in the technical department, discussing some difficult problems that were currently hard to tackle. Upon seeing Xiaofeng, Gao Yuanming immediately showed a joyful expression. Xiaofeng, come take a look. Our short video app has already started internal testing. Apart from some technical issues that have not been resolved yet, it is much faster than we originally anticipated. I have to thank you for investing 10 million yuan. With such ample budget, we have saved a lot of time and cost. Come, Xiaofeng, let me give you a thorough introduction to all the features. Gao Yuanming gave Xiaofeng a detailed introduction to each feature, but at the same time, he also included the problems that had not yet been overcome, such as data malfunctions and security vulnerabilities, especially some security vulnerabilities with the current technology. The technical team found it difficult to completely resolve them for a while. As Xiaofeng looked at the current feature introductions and the unresolved vulnerability issues, he generally had a solution in mind for all of them. In his previous life, Xiaofeng had traveled from 2026. He had worked diligently for more than 10 years in his past life and was a technical expert, so he could immediately identify the problems related to these partial vulnerabilities and areas for optimization, because these problems in the future would no longer be problems at all. General Manager Gao, regarding these security issues you just mentioned, I happen to know a little about them, and I can resolve them, Xiaofeng said, with unusual calm and determination. As soon as he finished speaking, the members of the technical department immediately looked at him with suspicion. It was important to know that they were all from the technical department. While not top tier in the country, they were certainly considered experts. But Xiaofeng used to work in the operations department and had only recently been promoted to deputy general manager. These technical problems, which even they temporarily found hard to overcome, Xiaofeng actually claimed he could solve. Of course, no one believed him, but they dared not refute him as Xiaofeng was, after all, the deputy general manager. However, Xiaofeng's subsequent actions completely changed the perception of everyone in the technical department, because Xiaofeng not only genuinely understood, but was a genius. He could accurately find vulnerabilities in every part and quickly fix them. starting from code vulnerability auditing, then to SQL protection, configuration error troubleshooting, XSS attack interception, and insecure architectures. The people in the technical department stood there silently, both learning and not daring to speak for fear of disturbing Xiaofeng. Even Gao Yuanming, although he could not understand it, could strongly feel from Xiaofeng's state that he was indeed very professional. Just like that, Xiaofeng spent a full 3 hours almost checking everything from the inside out. Registration vulnerabilities, cross-site forgery, server-side impersonation, file upload vulnerabilities, command execution, brute force attacks, access control, security configuration, encryption mechanisms, and insecure designs. In short, he resolved all the problems that could be tackled at the moment. For those that required more time to resolve, Xiaofeng specifically marked them out and provided perfect solutions, leaving them for the technical department to slowly address. As Xiaofeng pressed the last key on the keyboard, the folks in the technical department could finally hold back no longer, their faces filled with shock. "Oh my God, General Manager Xiao, I admit. I previously thought you did not understand any of this, but I never expected. You actually solved 95% of the unresolved issues for us in just 3 hours. You are simply a genius. According to the current progress, our app can at least speed up by another 3 months. If all goes well, it can be officially launched this year." Hearing that the progress could be accelerated by 3 months all at once, Gao Yuanming was completely stunned. What? Xiaofeng only took 3 hours to speed up the progress by 3 months. Yes, our General Manager Xiao has resolved most of the issues, especially in terms of security vulnerabilities, so the progress can be accelerated by at least 3 months. Good. Good, good. Gao Yuanming excitedly grasped Xiaofeng's hands. "Xiaofeng, you are simply a hero to our KS company. You provide both funding and technology. I feel like the position of Deputy General Manager does not do you justice. With your abilities, why did you stay in the operations department before?" Xiaofeng indeed had these abilities in his previous life, but at that time in 2026, these abilities could only be considered those of an ordinary expert. However, in the current year of 2010, he was undoubtedly a genius. Subsequently, Xiaofeng specifically proposed several suggestions. He had generally understood the simplified internal testing of the app earlier. General Manager Gao, I personally believe that adding a double tap screen feature for liking videos while viewers are browsing would be more effective. Additionally, implement a feature for videos to go viral, which can expand their traffic reach based on likes, comments, and shares. Furthermore, if we want to capture the market faster, we must advertise early. Otherwise, even the best app is meaningless if users have not experienced it. Therefore, I personally suggest considering giving new users red envelopes as an incentive. Each new user acquisition could randomly receive a red envelope. This way, word of mouth will spread rapidly, allowing us to capture the market more quickly. Finally, provide a red envelope reward to the top 10 quality videos each day. This will also more easily ignite the passion of creators. Xiaofeng articulated his ideas one by one. Each suggestion was incredibly valuable, and all of them were highly effective based on later practical results. Gao Yuanming nodded repeatedly after listening. Excellent. These suggestions are truly excellent. Especially the double tap to like feature. It is completely different from traditional liking methods and has a lot of character. Gao Yuanming then turned around. Everyone heard that right. Proceed as General Manager Xiao instructed. Do not worry. No problem. Just like that, Xiaofeng's visit to a KS company today. He did not even expect to be able to help so much. At least it accelerated the app's progress by 3 months. No, it seemed to be more than just the app's progress. Xiaofeng also suddenly realized that since his rebirth, he had been accelerating the progress of the entire market. For example, Bitcoin had already risen to 7 yuan per coin ahead of schedule. Another example is Miju Group, which also accelerated its pace under Xiaofeng's substantial investment. And then there is the current case, expected to be released before the end of the year. Xiaofeng. He was truly accelerating the original progress of the entire market. Broadly speaking, the butterfly effect Xiaofeng could bring about was subtly influencing the progress of the entire world. At 5 p.m., just as Xiao Feng was about to leave KS Company. General Manager Xiao, a slightly familiar sweet voice called out to Xiao Feng. Turning his head, it was Han Shueki, the company's reception desk. She had a slight sheen of sweat on her forehead, looking anxious and a bit out of breath, holding a storage box in her hands. You got fired too. No, 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 Han Shueki shook her head like a rattle. General Manager Xiao, I heard you also opened a company, so I voluntarily resigned. I want to... At this point, Han Shueki's eyes were firm, having made the most correct choice of her life. I want to work for you. Han Shueki firmly wanted to join the new company Xiao Feng founded himself. There was only one reason. She trusted Xiao Feng so much that when she heard he had started his own company, she immediately resigned, disregarding everything else, and wanted to join. Xiao Feng looked at Han Shueki, who had chased him out. How did you know? I started a company. Zhang Yang told me. Everyone in the operations department knows. I overheard it when people were chatting. Han Shueki immediately explained. Xiao Feng had indeed told Zhang Yang about starting a company outside, and there was no need to hide such a thing, nor could it be kept secret. However, Xiao Feng had not told anyone about the new company's benefits, including Zhang Yang. Xiao Feng had just mentioned casually at the time that he now had his own company. As for the benefits Xiao Feng offered to the people in his company, outsiders had no idea. Xiao Feng looked at the sincere Han Shueki and was naturally willing to accept her as she proactively wanted to join the company. Especially, Han Shueki did not know the company's benefits. Xiao Feng deliberately played hard to get. I did start a new company, but the new company is just starting, and the conditions are very tough. Furthermore, the salary and benefits are very poor. Here, as a front desk receptionist, you at least earn 3,000 or 4,000 yuan a month. If you come to my place, I might only be able to pay you 2,000 yuan a month, or even 2,000 might be a stretch. So, I advise you to reconsider carefully. Do not be impulsive. The reason Xiao Feng deliberately played hard to get and said the benefits were poor was to assess her in a different way, which could also be called an interview. I am willing. I am not impulsive, Mr. Xiao. I am very willing. As long as I can work with you, I am very willing. Han Shueki almost said willing 3 times in a row. This made Xiao Feng quite puzzled. She was too persistent. But the initial salary and benefits are very low. It is possible we might not even be able to pay salaries, Xiao Feng deliberately added. However, in response to Xiao Feng's words, Han Shueki almost blurted out, Mr. Xiao, you have already paid me, and you have paid me 2 years' worth of salary. Huh, I have paid you when? Stocks, Mr. Xiao. Before, I followed your advice to buy stocks and earned over 80,000 yuan. That is equivalent to 2 years of my salary. Without you, I would not have been able to earn that much money at the time. So, Mr. Xiao, this 80,000 yuan is like you paying me 2 years' salary in advance, let alone a 2,000 yuan salary per month now. Even if you do not pay me a single cent within 2 years, I am still willing to work with you. In short, Mr. Xiao, I trust you. Please let me join your company. Okay. Good heavens, with Han Shueki's answer, no one could refuse her anymore. She even said she did not need a salary, which meant she cared even less about the benefits. It was purely out of trust in Xiao Feng. She believed that as long as she worked with Xiao Feng, she would definitely have a future. For a moment, Han Shueki's determined gaze seemed like that of a time traveler, convinced that Xiao Feng would definitely succeed in the future. Xiao Feng stopped playing hard to get. Congratulations, you passed the interview. However, since the company has just been established, there are not many positions available, and none are quite suitable for you yet. Initially, the work might be more varied. No problem, Mr. Xiao. I will do whatever you ask me to do. You can give me any task. Han Shueki's state at this moment was as if she had reached safety. At this moment, Han Shueki officially became one of Xiao Feng's employees. And once she became a formal employee, Xiao Feng, as the company boss, naturally had to discuss the salary and benefits. What he said earlier about 2,000 yuan a month was just an interview assessment. What followed was the real deal. Since you have joined, I still need to make clear the company's policies and your benefits. First, you must comply with the company's rules and regulations and everything must be carried out as instructed. Second, regarding your salary, since there is not a suitable position for now, you will start with front desk work, and normally you will be responsible for assisting Momo with organizing the company's bills. Third, the minimum monthly salary is 15,000 yuan, working no more than 8 hours a day, with 2 days off per week and 1 annual leave of no less than 15 days per year. After Xiaofeng finished listing the basic benefits, the storage box in Han Shueqi's hand almost dropped to the floor. "Ha, mister. Xiao, I did not mishear. Did I? These are our company's benefits and I just started, and the salary is 15,000 yuan. Han Shueqi felt her worldview collapse. What kind of amazing benefits were these? Yes, you did not mishear, Xiaofeng continued. These benefits are temporary. If the company improves later, the benefits will be even better. Oh, and one more thing. The company does not consider referrals from acquaintances, so if you have friends or close connections, do not consider referring them. Currently, I only consider direct hires by myself. Of course, unless they are absolute talents. After Xiaofeng finished speaking, he handed Han Shueqi a business card with the company's address on it. Welcome to Polaris. Report tomorrow. Just like that, Xiaofeng's company gained another employee, bringing the total to 16. These 16 people were all personally recruited by Xiaofeng for now, and Han Shueqi was considered the first employee to officially join through an interview after the company's establishment. Begonia Mansion. Young master is back. Li Jinian was now a full-time homemaker. Besides her daily treatments, she mostly watched TV series and cooked at home. Then, waiting for her young master Xiaofeng to return home, she would give him a tight hug. "Are you tired today?" Li Jinian's voice was incredibly gentle. "It feels like you are so busy every day." "Not at all tired." Xiaofeng gently caressed Li Jinian's cheek. "How have you been feeling lately?" "I feel like I am almost fully recovered and the treatment has not been painful at all." Saying that, Li Jinian lightly kissed Xiaofeng. "Thank you, darling." That "thank you, darling" expressed so much. Li Jinian's entire medical expenses were roughly 5 million yuan, and that 5 million yuan was truly well spent. Each time she went, she only needed 2 or 3 hours of treatment before she could come back, and indeed, it was not painful at all. Hearing Li Jinian's answer, Xiaofeng felt that any amount of money spent was worth it. "That is good. Once you are fully recovered, let us go back to my hometown together. It is time for my dad to meet you, and then we can discuss our marriage." Ever since Xiaofeng was reborn, he had constantly been thinking about officially marrying Li Jinian and bringing her home. That was also a regret from his previous life. Recalling his previous life, although he married Shen Yao 5 years after Li Jinian's death, it was out of reluctant necessity. In the countryside, if a man did not marry by 27, he would be called an older leftover man, and his father would not be able to hold his head high. And when he finally married Shen Yao, he had to break the bank, spending 388,888 yuan on the bride price. Of course, there was no affection between them to begin with. Both seemed to be doing it just to give their parents an explanation. However, at the very end of Xiaofeng's life, Shen Yao did something so cruel. Therefore, Xiaofeng wanting to marry Li Jinian was also one of his regrets. In this life, he would marry no one but Li Jinian. When Li Jinian heard Xiaofeng talk about discussing marriage, her cheeks could not help but flush, and she became shy. "Okay," Li Jinian looked deeply into Xiaofeng's eyes. "Then, let us also visit my family. My parents also want to meet you. Of course, if I marry you, both sets of parents must meet." At this moment, although it was only verbal, Li Jinian felt as if she had already become Xiaofeng's wife. Li Jinian's already affectionate gaze was practically melting. For a moment, the atmosphere. "Go wash up." "No, young miss, I have not eaten yet." "Then, you should exercise first. The experts say that exercising before a meal makes eating more enjoyable." "Which damn expert said that?" "Expert lie." "That makes sense." The next few days were the same as usual. Xiaofeng's company was divided into 2 teams, led by Da Hu and Hu respectively. Both teams were full of drive, while Fang Zhang played the role of manager. Han, Shueki, and Momo were mainly responsible for bookkeeping, especially everyone's commissions, which they handled meticulously. With the added incentive of commissions and such excellent benefits, everyone's daily work state was full of vitality. Even if Xiaofeng was absent, everything proceeded in an orderly manner. No one would slack off. Everyone was eager to create more value for the company. With a monthly base salary of 10,000 and normally earning 20,000, plus such good benefits, there was absolutely no need to worry about employees slacking off. In fact, employees were more worried than the boss that the company might fail. As of now, the number of properties under Xiaofeng's personal name has reached 42. These 42 properties cost a total of 9.96 million yuan. And today is only the 12th. Before the demolition announcement is issued, acquiring a total of 100 properties will definitely not be a problem. As for Bitcoin, currently, at least 3,000 coins are credited daily. Current quantity, 135,338 coins. At this rate, with what he mines and acquires, he can have 100,000 coins every month. Xiaofeng's mood would be excellent every day as he watched the growth rate of Bitcoin. Anyway, one coin is 700,000, 100 coins are 70 million, and 1,000 coins are 700 million. With a minimum of 3,000 coins per day, how could he not be in a good mood? As long as he lives until then, if not the world's richest man, he would definitely be the richest man in the country. After all, Xiaofeng also has shares in other industries. Group, Mizzhou Group. Adding Bitcoin, as long as he holds steady, won't he be the richest man in the country in the future? That is it. The thought of becoming the richest man made his grin even wider. This was truly not a fantasy. He remembered that even after more than 10 years, the richest man in the country at that time had a total asset of no more than 500 billion yuan. Seriously, whose childhood dream was not to be the richest person in the country. Of course, as for the world's richest man, he did not even dare to think about that for now. After all, abroad, there was a tycoon later on whose declared assets alone were 5 trillion. Just as Xiaofeng was engrossed in his pleasant fantasies, a phone call suddenly interrupted him. It was Da Hu, who was in charge of acquiring properties, calling. "Hey, Mr. Xiao. It seems I have negotiated a big deal here. It is an entire building, but this person is too difficult to deal with, like an idiot. Please come over quickly." Upon hearing an entire building, Xiaofeng immediately became excited. What if he is difficult to deal with? This is a god of wealth. You know, in these communities near Qinghu Street, any entire building, even if it only has 2 units, 5 floors, and 3 households per floor, would total 30 households. This was indeed a big deal. So Xiaofeng and Fang Zhang immediately rushed over. Qinghu Street, Xingfu Community. This community was only 1 community away from Qinghu Community, where Xiaofeng used to live. The community was still old and worn, and many residents had moved out. Following the building number Da Hu mentioned, Xiaofeng quickly arrived at Building 7. Everyone was downstairs at the moment. Downstairs. Besides Da Hu's team, several other people were gathered around, and the atmosphere seemed unpleasant. "You, the landlord, we signed a 1-year contract. If you are suddenly selling the house, you should at least tell us in advance. The 3 of us just moved in a month ago." "Exactly. You're suddenly telling us to move out now. Where are we supposed to find a place? Even if we can find a place, you have breached the contract, so you should at least give us some compensation, right?" From their perspective, 3 young men, probably in their mid-20s, were arguing with a fashionable man around 35 years old. The reason he was called fashionable was because his attire was indeed a bit trendy, yet also a bit strange. Take those striking pointed-toe leather shoes. For example, they were so pointed that it felt like the pointed shoes would reach the bedroom before the person even entered the house. He wore them with a pair of beige cropped trousers, and a floral silk scarf was tied around his collar. In the current year of 2010, this outfit did not look like something from China. It felt like he was imitating foreign styles, but in a messy way. A classic case of a hodgepodge like Dongxi imitating Zishi, a poor imitation. He also spoke with a peculiar accent. "Oh, come on. I am the landlord. If I do not want to rent it out, then I won't. The contract only states that tenants must pay compensation if they breach the contract. It does not say landlords must compensate tenants if they breach it. Also, I have already explained the situation. I am going abroad soon. Immigrating, understand. I am off to live the good life. So now, of course, I am selling this entire building. As for where you live, that is your business. Anyway, I absolutely must sell this building. And it is a rare good thing that I have found someone willing to buy this entire building at once. I can't miss this opportunity. So, the three of you do not need to say anything useless anymore. Hurry up and move out. Do not delay my sale. Xiaofeng had heard the entire conversation between both parties clearly. The man's name was Jiang Sangguo. He had previously made a fortune from investments and bought this entire building, living off rental income. But now, Jiang Sangguo planned to immigrate abroad, which was why he was eager to sell the entire building. Moreover, he had long intended to go abroad, but this entire building under Jiang Sangguo's name had been difficult to sell. Coincidentally, Xiaofeng was acquiring properties, wanting as many as he could get. Therefore, Jiang Sangguo also seized the opportunity, eager to sell off the entire building. As for the tenants in the building, Jiang Sangguo did not care. They could go wherever they pleased. In short, they should not delay him from selling the house. No wonder Da Hu told Xiaofeng on the phone that this person was like an idiot. Xiaofeng had not even communicated with him yet, but he could already tell from the man's tone and demeanor. Sell the house, sure, but at least tell the tenants in advance. Even if it was an impromptu decision, there should at least be corresponding compensation. Okay? Even if there is no compensation, at least say something nice. However, not only was there no apology, but his attitude was also so forceful. Coupled with his arrogant demeanor, he gave the impression of someone about to become superior, very haughty. Of course, it goes without saying, just from his bizarre attire, it was clear that he could not even imitate properly. Mr. Xiao, you are here. Da Hu then introduced, this is Mr. Sangguo, the landlord. The entire building belongs to him. He is the one selling the property. Jiang Sangguo also looked over at the same time, his first words carrying a peculiar tone as if blaming Da Hu. Hey, fatty, did not I just introduce myself to you? Do not call me Mr. Sangguo, call me by my English name, Tony Go. After all, I will be a foreigner from now on. His tone was incredibly arrogant. Da Hu also had a helpless look on his face. If it were not for the company's excellent benefits and the fear of losing the deal, he would have taken action. Xiaofeng also had a dark expression. Tony is not that what future hairdressers are called. He really wanted to stand up for hairdressers, such a good name felt wasted on him. But since he owned so many properties, Xiaofeng had to negotiate, even if he had to hold his nose. After all, he had just seen it. This building had a total of 3 units and 5 floors. Each floor had 3 households, so that is 45 households. If this deal went through, once it was demolished, he could earn at least 50 million yuan. The key was that this was money he could see right away. The demolition announcement would be made by the end of the month. It was a good thing this guy was going abroad. Otherwise, Xiaofeng really would not have come across such a good opportunity. The key was that Jiang Sangguo also thought this was a good thing at the moment, that someone would actually buy the entire building. So one party was very eager to sell and the other was very eager to buy. Now it was just a matter of price. Xiaofeng was also unhurried, beginning to haggle. As for the price, I already looked into the prices in this community on my way here. The average price is currently around 3,300. And what you just said about the house being fully furnished, that is meaningless to me. Because after I buy it, I will renovate everything, ensuring that my future employees will live in super premium homes. Therefore, my psychological price, at most, can be 3,000 yuan per square meter. What Jiang Sangguo immediately became displeased. The average price in this community is 3,300, and you are offering 3,000 for my entire building. Are you crazy? Hey! Steal your dog. Fang Zhang immediately snapped. Be more polite when talking to our Mr. Xiao. What steal your dog? Call me Tony Go. Jiang Sangguo was also quite unhappy anyway. This price is too cheap. I can't accept it. Xiaofeng remained calm. Then what price can you accept? Mine is fully furnished, so it should at least be 3,500 per square meter. I just calculated it. A total of 2,340 square meters, which comes to 8.19 million yuan. No, Xiaofeng raised his hand to refuse, his tone even more firm. I have said it before. I do not care if the house is fully furnished or not, because I am going to completely renovate it afterwards. So I can only offer you a maximum of 3,000 yuan per square meter, and I have already calculated it in my head, 2,340 square meters, a total of 70.2 million yuan. Bah! A total of 7.02 million yuan. Damn it! He almost blurted out the post-demolition price. In short, if you can accept it, a flat price of 7 million yuan. For an entire building of 45 apartments, Xiaofeng finally offered a price of 7 million, which is equivalent to 155,000 per apartment. This price was indeed lower than the market price, as each apartment was around 50 square meters, meaning the average price per square meter did not even reach 3,000 yuan. When Zhang Sango heard this price, he found it completely unacceptable. He took out his phone, opened the calculator. You are only giving me 7 million in total. That means 2,991 yuan per square meter. This price you are offering is too low. I can't accept it. At least 7.5 million. Let me reiterate, every unit in this entire building is fully furnished. Although Zhang Sango was fighting for his own interests, his words were not exactly firm. He had already dropped from the original 8.19 million to 7.5 million, and then emphasized again that they were fully furnished. The reason Xiaofeng dared to offer only 7 million was that he had already grasped Zhang Sango's psychological state. Then, let me reiterate, I can only offer a maximum of 7 million. Also, your so-called fully furnished is not a plus point at all. This building of yours, while appearing to be fully furnished, is entirely rented out. What materials were used and whether the formaldehyde purification meets standards, I probably do not need to elaborate, right? In a place like Zhangzhou City, any property rented out, especially newly renovated ones, almost always uses inferior materials. The formaldehyde concentration goes without saying. Moreover, due to the material issues, even after 8 or 10 years, the formaldehyde still would not fully dissipate. Therefore, even if Xiaofeng bought it and was not waiting for demolition, he would definitely renovate it himself. Xiaofeng continued, so, stop mentioning fully furnished to me. To me, your apartments are essentially unfurnished. After all, once I buy it, it is for my employees to live in. I need to redecorate with good materials to ensure my employees can live comfortably and without worry. Xiaofeng's words once again emphasized his purpose for buying the building and his plans for it. Ultimately, it was just to negotiate the price to buy an unfurnished building for 7 million. However, Xiaofeng's words left the 3 young men standing nearby dumbfounded. The 3 young men nearby, all around 24 or 25, were the same ones who had been reasoning with Zhang Sangao earlier. All 3 were tenants, and now they were about to be evicted. And these 3 tenants, upon hearing that Xiaofeng was going to buy the apartments, renovate them, and then let his employees live in them, immediately latched onto the keywords. What kind of boss is this? Such benefits. The 3 exchanged glances. Excuse me, are you Mr. Xiao? I would like to interrupt for a moment. Qin Yu, one of the 3, could not help but ask just now, you said you were going to buy these apartments for your employees to live in for free. Xiaofeng glanced at the 3 of them. They looked like recent graduates with little social experience, yet they were 2 or 3 years older than Xiaofeng, so they should not have been recent graduates. Xiaofeng merely nodded politely. After seeing Xiaofeng nod, the 3 exchanged glances again, then began to whisper quietly amongst themselves. Xiaofeng did not care what they were saying. The most important thing now was to finalize the deal for the apartments. Meanwhile, Zhang Sango was still trying to negotiate for more of his own interests. After all, the 7 million price Xiaofeng offered was indeed below market value, but Xiaofeng was also the only one who could buy the entire building in one go. Such a situation was rare. If this entire building was sold, he could immediately immigrate abroad. Thinking of this, Zhang Sango gritted his teeth. All right, I will make one last concession. I won't ask for 7.5 million anymore. How about 7.3 million? I can't go any lower. This time, Zhang Sango's tone was much firmer than before. It gave the impression that if the price was any lower, Zhang Sango definitely would not consider it. However, Xiao Feng had already seen Zhang Sango's displayed information during their conversation. This guy had always wanted to immigrate abroad, but this entire building under his name had remained unsold. Therefore, even though 7 million was below market price, Zhang Sango would definitely consider it. Furthermore, if Zhang Sango genuinely did not consider it, Xiao Feng could always add a little more then. Even for 10 million, Xiao Feng would certainly take it all. The reason for cutting it down to 7 million was because this guy had poor character. Facing Zhang Sango's proposed price of 7.3 million, Xiao Feng still shook his head without hesitation. I said I can only offer 7 million, and you want to immigrate so badly, yet you're unwilling to concede even the last 300,000. It seems you do not like abroad that much after all. Oh, by the way, Xiao Feng then added, after today, I might not consider it anymore. After all, there are plenty of properties for sale around here. Upon hearing that Xiao Feng might no longer consider it, Zhang Sango clearly panicked. He had finally gotten a chance to sell everything. Once sold, he could live the life he wanted. Zhang Sango was practically gritting his teeth into dust. All right, quote, 7 million it is. But I have one request. It has to be as quick as possible. I am in a hurry. That was not a request at all. Xiao Feng also wished it could be as quick as possible. Okay, it is a deal. And just like that, Xiao Feng successfully acquired all 45 apartments for 7 million. The 45 apartments were not the important part. What mattered was the total area of the 45 units, which was 2,340 square meters in total. At least 30,000 yuan in compensation could be received per square meter, which would amount to 70.2 million yuan, meaning a profit of over 60 million yuan on this deal. If Xiao Feng had not bought it today, that money would most likely still belong to Zhang Sango. After all, under normal circumstances, Zhang Sango could not possibly sell the entire building within a month. And once the demolition happened, Zhang Sango would have essentially received 70 million yuan and then immigrated abroad with that 70 million. As Xiao Feng and Zhang Sango reached an agreement, both parties were now waiting to complete the formalities. The three tenants from earlier seemed to have finished their discussion. Mr. Xiao, Qin Yu still took the lead, speaking first. Just now you said that these apartments would be for employees to live in for free in the future, and the key is one apartment per person. We have truly rarely heard of such benefits. To be honest, the three of us all returned from studying abroad. We are all 25 this year and want to develop our careers back home. We just came back a month ago, and we have not found suitable jobs yet. So, the three of us would like to ask, what kind of business does your company do? Are you still hiring? Qin Yu first introduced himself, then asked if they were still hiring. The meaning was quite clear. Furthermore, if Qin Yu and the others joined Xiao Feng's company, they would not need to move out or look for new housing. This was truly killing two birds with one stone. And Xiao Feng also seemed to have heard the keywords. Other things were not important. What mattered was studying abroad. Xiao Feng had recently been considering strategic planning and was looking for talents like these. Xiao Feng did not directly answer whether they were still short of people instead. He asked a question back. Do you know about Bitcoin? As soon as Xiao Feng started, he asked a baffling question. At least in the eyes of the three, it was indeed baffling. I know, said the smallest and thinnest of the three. I know about this thing, virtual currency, right? I used to mess with it for a while, but then I stopped. Holy moly! What a coincidence! This slightly thin person actually dealt with Bitcoin. Xiao Feng immediately became energetic. You dealt with this? Yeah, Guo Shaohang said with an awkward expression. Back then, it was a part-time job for me. I wanted to earn some extra cash, so I learned from others to mine coins with a computer. But after mining for half a month, I found out it did not even earn as much as working other part-time jobs, so I quit. It was not just me. I also have that Bitcoin trading group. I often see many people in the group complaining, saying this stuff is a scam. Well, a foreign Bitcoin trading group. At this moment, Xiao Feng suppressed his inner excitement. Good things keep happening. He spent $7 million to acquire 45 apartments, and it turned out the evicted tenant understood Bitcoin. Xiaofeng had always planned to venture overseas recently, especially since the overseas Bitcoin market was still not highly regarded, and few people cared about it. Because if they really cared, its current price would not be so cheap. So, whether domestically or internationally, the Bitcoin market was temporarily not favored, and its value was only a few dollars per coin. Xiaofeng suppressed his inner excitement. "What is your name?" "My name is Guo Shouhang. Interested in joining my company?" Xiaofeng was straightforward. "Direct hiring by the boss, huh? What would my job be? What would I need to do?" "Currently, the company is in its startup phase. If you join my company, you will only be responsible for acquiring Bitcoin, overseas Bitcoin. Acquire as much as you can, that will be your daily work." As Xiaofeng's words fell, Guo Shouhang clearly hesitated for a moment, then looked at his two friends beside him. To be honest, everyone was naturally not very satisfied with the nature of the job Xiaofeng proposed. Acquiring Bitcoin. How could that be a good job? How much could it pay? Guo Shouhang's expression was a bit difficult. "Mr. Xiao, I am a returning international student. Even if I can't achieve great things back home, I can't do this, right? What is the difference between this and being a slacker?" "Exactly." Qin Yu chimed in from the side. "A job like acquiring virtual currency is completely a waste of talent. It does not allow one to fully utilize their personal abilities. People still need to have dreams and aspirations." For a moment, not only Guo Shouhang, but even his two friends beside him, did not think highly of the job. Mainly, it really felt like a waste of talent. Just as they said themselves, acquiring virtual currency would not fully utilize one's personal abilities. It felt like anyone could do it. Plus, a job like this sounded like it would not pay much. For a moment, Guo Shouhang and the other two seemed to have given up on considering it. 30,000 a month. Xiaofeng immediately offered 30,000 straightforwardly. When they heard 30,000 a month, the three of them looked over simultaneously, as if they had heard something outrageous. One must know, although they were international students, they did not attend prestigious universities, and the jobs they found after returning to China were not satisfactory, especially regarding salary, because it did not meet their expectations. They had not found a suitable job until now. How much? Guo Shouhang even suspected he had misheard. 30,000 a month. Xiaofeng's tone was exceptionally firm. Although 30,000 a month was indeed very high, Xiaofeng currently desperately needed such talent. Education or lack thereof was not important. What mattered was acquiring Bitcoin. This. Really, mister? Xiao, are you joking? Guo Shouhang still could not quite believe it. Xiaofeng's tone was calm. "It is just 30,000 a month. It is not like I can't afford it. Of course, if you have other dreams and feel that this job is beneath your talent, you can refuse." "Mr. Xiao, if he won't do it, I will." Just then, the third male student, Ko Bai, quickly said, "Is not it just acquiring foreign Bitcoin? I have been abroad for so long, I know a bit about it, and I can acquire it too." Guo Shouhang looked at Ko Bai with a speechless expression. "Did I say I would not do it?" Then he immediately looked at Xiaofeng. "Mr. Xiao, I will do it. I think our company aligns very well with my ideals, and I am willing to join your company." "All right then," Xiaofeng nodded in satisfaction. "Let us proceed as discussed. The monthly salary is 30,000, but there is a point. The base salary is 10,000, and there is a $1 commission for each Bitcoin acquired. If you acquire 20,000 coins in a month, that is a 20,000 commission. Adding the 10,000 base salary makes it 30,000. Of course, if you do not reach that, I will still pay you 30,000. In short, I won't let you earn less than 30,000 a month. Similarly, the more you work, the more you earn. The more you acquire, the higher the commission. Then, what if I acquire 50,000 coins in a month?" Guo Shouhang eagerly asked. 50,000 coins. Xiaofeng frowned. Even he found that number a bit outrageous. "If you can acquire 50,000 coins in a month, I will give you an additional bonus of 100,000. "Holy crap, really?" "Of course." For a moment, Guo Shouhang was indescribably excited. because he was truly confident about the quantity of 50,000 coins. He had been in overseas Bitcoin groups before and knew that, given the current overseas Bitcoin market, acquiring 50,000 coins in a month was genuinely not difficult. At least for the first month, this KPI could definitely be met. Mr. Xiao can we two join? Qin Yu, who had spoken earlier, now had a very humble demeanor. We two can actually acquire them too. Just a moment ago, Qin Yu was the one with the firmest attitude, stating that he was a person with ideals and would never do something like acquiring virtual currency. But now, he was so actively trying to join. Xiaofeng did not waste words. All right, you two as well. I will give both of you a base salary of 10,000, with a guaranteed minimum of no less than 30,000 a month. However, there is one condition. If you can't acquire even 1,000 Bitcoin in a month, I can immediately dismiss you. Also, Guo Shouhang, right? You will temporarily serve as the team leader for the three of you. Okay, no problem, Mr. Xiao. Please rest assured. The three of us together will acquire 100,000 coins for you this month. Oh my goodness. Xiaofeng felt a warmth in his heart hearing that. And Guo Shouhang was not just speaking empty words. Xiaofeng currently had 130,000 Bitcoin, all acquired domestically. Even so, Erhu's team could still acquire over 1,000 coins daily within the country. This was because the current domestic Bitcoin base was at most around 1 million coins, whereas overseas now, the Bitcoin base was at least 5 million coins. With such a large base, three people aggressively acquiring them, even with slightly higher prices, was genuinely not a problem. Just like that, Xiaofeng not only spent 7 million to acquire 45 apartments today, but his team also gained 3 new talents. They were also referred to as the overseas team. Xiaofeng currently had 3 teams. Team 1, Team 2, Overseas Team. Including Xiaofeng, Polaris Company currently had exactly 20 people. By the way, you guys should not live in these apartments anymore. I will be renovating them later, as this kind of housing has too much formaldehyde, which is not good for your health. Today is Friday. You can look for apartments on Saturday and Sunday. In the meantime, stay in a hotel, and the company will reimburse the hotel expenses. Do not dismiss these last 2 short sentences as insignificant. They were also very heartwarming. The line about too much formaldehyde being bad for health showed concern for his subordinates. And the company fully reimbursing hotel expenses for temporary stays, being treated with such importance even before officially starting work. Thank you, Mr. Xiao, the three said almost in unison. And Xiaofeng also uttered his familiar line, Welcome to Polaris, August 16th Monday. Without a doubt, today was another good day. Because today, the overseas team officially started work, joining Polaris Company. With Guo Shouhang as the team leader, the 3-person team also began acquiring overseas Bitcoin according to Xiaofeng's request. The 3 of them had all returned from studying abroad, so their English was perfectly fine, and communication was naturally unhindered. It was precisely for this reason that Xiaofeng offered a guaranteed monthly salary of 30,000 yuan. These people were considered talents. Similarly, Xiaofeng had also completely finalized the property transfer with Jiang Sango, and now 45 properties were officially under Xiaofeng's name. Currently, Xiaofeng owned a total of 96 properties, including the one previously owned by landlord Liu Hongmei, and today had not even started yet. If no accidents occurred, Xiaofeng's properties would likely reach 100 before the end of the workday. As for Bitcoin, the current number had also reached 145,362 coins. Similarly, today had not even started yet by the end of today. It was estimated to break at least 150,000 coins. Of course, whether it was properties or Bitcoin, there were current expenditures. After Xiaofeng transferred out 7 million yuan, plus other recent expenditures, there was still 12.36 million yuan in his card. To be precise, Xiaofeng had 15.36 million yuan at his disposal because another 3 million yuan was in the stock market. Although the 3 million yuan in the stock market did not have 10x leverage, it was definitely in rising stocks with a daily increase of 10%, which was still a decent income. In any case, the remaining 10+ million yuan was definitely enough to cover all expenses. Mr. Xiao How much can we offer for this? Guo Shouhang looked at the chat box and waved to Xiao Feng, wanting him to make a decision. It seemed there was an order. The current overseas communication software being used was WhatsApp. Although Xiao Feng graduated from a 211 university, English was not his major after all, and he was limited to basic face-to-face communication. Especially when presented in text, it was still a bit difficult to read. But it was different for students who returned from overseas. Their English level was perfectly fine for any form of communication. Mr. Xiao, this person named Sandy has 1,025 Bitcoin coins and is asking how much we can offer. Good. Today's first overseas order started with 1025 coins. Currently, the average price of Bitcoin overseas was 0.8 US dollars per coin. This price had risen very quickly because in his memory, even overseas in 2010, Bitcoin's highest price did not exceed 0.5 US dollars, and at its cheapest, it was even 0.08 US dollars per coin. But now, perhaps it was precisely because of Xiao Feng's butterfly effect that Bitcoin had already risen to 0.8 US dollars ahead of schedule. Of course, 0.8 US dollars converted to Chinese yuan was only 5.3 yuan. And currently, in the domestic Bitcoin market, due to Xiao Feng's large-scale acquisitions, the current market price was already 6 yuan. Moreover, Xiao Feng always acquired above market price, so the current domestic market was roughly 7 yuan per coin. But none of that mattered. What mattered was having it. All right then, Xiao Feng looked at the chat interface. It is a total of -1025 coins. Right. Give him 1 US dollar per coin. The price Xiao Feng offered was still higher than the market price, even if only slightly, but this slight difference could allow Xiao Feng to penetrate the market faster. Once word got out, if someone wanted to sell Bitcoin, they would inevitably choose the highest bidder. By then, with Xiao Feng's reputation established, he would be the seller's first choice. But similarly, Xiao Feng would not bid excessively high that would disrupt the market prematurely and cause Bitcoin to rise too quickly, and the current growth rate was just right. As Guo Shouhang finished replying, 3 seconds later, the other party's chat interface showed, "Okay, Mr. Xiao, it is a done deal." I see. Xiao Feng patted Guo Shouhang's shoulder. "Well done. Your commission for this order is 1,025 yuan. Keep up the good work." Xiao Feng deliberately emphasized the commission Guo Shouhang would receive for this order, which could also motivate him further. After all, this order only took half an hour, earning a commission of 1,025 yuan in half an hour. Guo Shouhang was naturally full of drive. "Do not worry, Mr. Xiao. You do not have to concern yourself with the rest, whether it is the upcoming payments or the Bitcoin transaction process. Just leave it to me. I have got it all handled. In short, before the end of the workday, I will transfer all the Bitcoin collected throughout the day into your account." Excellent. This was exactly what he wanted, not having to worry about anything. Xiao Feng only needed to provide the funds. Subsequently, Guo Shouhang continued with the next one, while the other two, Qin Yu and Ko Bai, were also diligently placing advertisements. Still high-price recycling. Thus, the overseas team's first order today was indeed an auspicious start right from the get-go. 1025 Bitcoin coins, a powerful and auspicious start. Just this single order would be enough for Xiao Feng to pay all employees of the entire company for a lifetime, and it still would not be used up. Because right now it only seemed like 1025 Bitcoin coins, but in the future, that would be 700 million. "Mr. Xiao, I have someone here who wants to sell 200 coins. Qin Yu also got an order. Still 1 US dollar per coin. Alrighty. "Mr. Xiao, I have someone here who wants to sell 15 coins. Cao Bai also got an order. Although it was only 15 coins, it still counted as an opened order. Buy them all. As expected of the overseas team, the quantity and speed of Bitcoin acquisition were more and faster than anticipated. Because in just one morning, a total of 2,000 coins had already been acquired. Ander Hu's team also acquired over 500 coins in one morning, plus utilizing mining machines. They also mined over 700 coins. Xiao Feng was essentially hoarding large quantities of Bitcoin, accumulating future wealth through 3 different methods. And precisely because of these three methods, the quantity of Bitcoin acquired this morning was more than the quantity from the entire previous day. By lunch break, the total had already reached 3,565 coins. Seeing the 3,565 coins acquired in just half a day, Xiaofeng's lips, no words were needed. What does everyone want for lunch, my treat? Everyone can say whatever they want to eat as long as it is available nearby. Xiaofeng once again offered to treat everyone to a meal. Currently, the company did not provide meals. Normally, during the lunch break, everyone would go to small restaurants nearby downstairs. More often, people would keep a small restaurant owner's phone number, call the owner directly, and some establishments could deliver food to the door. At the current time point in 2010, let alone food delivery not being widespread, many people did not even have the concept of food delivery. What everyone thought of as takeaway was calling the owner of a small restaurant who would then send a server from the shop to deliver it. But the distance could not be too far. As Xiaofeng was treating everyone to lunch, everyone was naturally very happy. Everyone had their usual favorite places to eat. Mr. Xiao, I want to eat the stir-fries from the small pub. I have the owner's number I can call, and the owner will deliver it shortly. No problem. Order whatever you want to eat. Mr. Xiao, I want to eat from Sister Pang's place. I also have her number. No problem. Order a bit more. I will pay when it is delivered later anyway, Xiaofeng generously said. Mr. Xiao, I want to eat. Soon. Everyone called and ordered their favorite dishes all these establishments could deliver. For establishments that would not deliver, everyone naturally would not order from them to save trouble, only ordering from those that could deliver. And Xiaofeng would just need to pay later when the food was delivered. Xiaofeng would pay with cash on the spot. It was almost always like this at the moment. Huh! Xiaofeng suddenly noticed. Momo, Shuiki, what are you two eating for lunch? It is just the two of you left. Why are not you calling? Or are you going out to eat? Momo and Han Shuiki were both smiling with a hint of pride. Mr. Xiao, we do not need to call because we found a link where we can choose any nearby merchant to place an order, and someone will deliver it after we order. Moreover, it is unrelated to the specific store. Regardless of whether that store normally offers delivery, everything on the link gets delivered. There are people specifically doing errands. So we have already ordered on it 2 portions of fried chicken. Mr. Xiao, do you want us to get you a portion too? Xiaofeng understood Momo's and her companion's answer almost instantly. This was definitely food delivery, specifically responsible for delivering meals, but it should be a very small team at the moment. What is it called? Xiaofeng asked curiously. Korean fried chicken. I'm asking what the service platform that provides delivery is called. Just a link called Help You Run Errands. Xiaofeng took Momo's phone and looked at the service description on the link. It offered a specified area for 90% of the stores in that area. As long as an order was placed, the other party would definitely be able to deliver it. Delivery fee was 810 yuan. The name of the link was even simpler and clearer. It was called Help You Run Errands. In the current year of 2010, this kind of errand service was not yet widespread, but there were indeed many small teams doing it. It did not even require a small team. Even an individual could do it. It was nothing more than helping to run errands. After reading the general introduction to this service, Xiaofeng clearly knew in his heart that this was another investment project. The current food delivery market had not yet been opened up, and although many small teams were doing it, almost all of them ended in failure. The reason was also simple. Later, with capital intervention, this juicy piece of business would no longer be something ordinary teams could handle. In his memory, the one who eventually dominated the market was Shuai Tuan, but this was actually due to strong support from powerful figures later on. That is to say, any small team at present, as long as they were noticed by a big shot, had the potential to become a hegemon in the future. For example, the most powerful Shuai Tuan later also received a 50 million investment a year later, breaking through the siege and eventually becoming the ultimate winner step by step. All the structural models themselves were similar, and there was nothing difficult about them. It just depended on who could break through the siege and truly occupy the market. Hello, who ordered the errands? Your fried chicken has arrived. Mine. Mo. Mo quickly waved her hand and at the same time shouted, "Mr. Xiao, your iced Coke has also arrived." Xiao Feng had just asked Mo to help order an iced Coke earlier on such a hot summer day, and iced Coke was simply too refreshing. As soon as Xiao Feng walked over, he saw Mo pulling out money, planning to pay. In the current time period, even if an order was placed online, payments were almost always in cash. The concept of mobile payment had not yet emerged. "I will pay the bill." Xiao Feng took the Coke from Mo's hand. "You guys go eat. Do not worry about it." I said, "It is my treat." Mo no longer bothered with formalities. "Okay, thank you, Mr. Xiao. How much in total?" The errand runner was named Wang Wei, wearing a plaid shirt without any so-called uniform. He was about 1.7 meters tall, and his hairstyle was the most common one at the time, with a thick, long side-swept fringe that he occasionally had to flip back. He was a little out of breath at the moment, sweat dripping from his forehead, and he took a moment to steady his breathing. 2 fried chickens plus Coke are 40 yuan, and the errand fee is 8 yuan, making a total of 48. This errand fee was already shown when you placed the order. Wang Wei also specifically explained the errand fee. This errand fee, to say it was expensive, was not really that expensive. A 3-kilometer round trip just for this one order because there was only one order. Furthermore, even with an 8 yuan errand fee, they barely made any money as the team's normal operating expenses and labor costs were still there. Xiao Feng took a crisp 100 yuan bill from his pocket. "Here, keep the change. Consider the rest a tip." When Wang Wei heard that the rest was all tip, he was briefly surprised. Then his gaze fell on the 100 yuan. His first reaction was not excitement, but a look of gratitude towards Xiao Feng in his eyes. "Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. I wish you great prosperity." Wang Wei repeatedly expressed his thanks, and with each thank you, he would subconsciously bend at the waist and lower his head. At the moment of their conversation, the entry immediately refreshed. Random entry: Wang Wei is 23 years old this year, currently an entrepreneur. He is the founder of the Help You Run Errands app with a team of 11 people. His biggest dream is to create a nationwide food delivery platform, but due to funding issues, the team is constantly on the verge of dissolution. So, the Wang Wei in front of him was actually the founder of Help You Run Errands, and he personally came to deliver. But it was also normal the current environment was like this. And almost all small teams in their early stages of establishment had everyone in the team running errands together. Running deliveries during the day and organizing programs at night, it was the early stage of entrepreneurship after all. Besides, there were not many orders in a day anyway. It was almost always running at a deficit, and they had to continuously invest money. Precisely because of this, many small teams did not even need competition from peers. They naturally could not keep going. In his memory, at present, there were at least 1,000 teams of various sizes across the country wanting to get into this business, and very few of them were making money. Coupled with the eventual entry of capital, it was a fatal blow. After seeing the entry displayed, Xiao Feng already had a general plan for the conversation in his mind. "This app link you have is well made and very convenient," Xiao Feng casually praised. But this one sentence made Wang Wei's excitement even greater than when he received the 100 yuan tip earlier. "Thank you for your recognition, boss. I hope you can place orders on it every time in the future. Whether it is windy or rainy, we can deliver." Is the service that thorough? Xiao Feng deliberately expressed surprise again. "Absolutely. This is the service we provide. Forget about wind and rain. Even if you want to order takeout in the middle of the night, boss, we can deliver it. Then you must be making a lot of money, right?" Xiao Feng's sudden remark truly stung Wang Wei. Wang Wei had been quite enthusiastic, but this sentence seemed to dampen his spirits. Xiao Feng said it on purpose. Sigh. Wang Wei first let out a sigh, his smile looking unnatural. "To be honest with you, boss, I am actually the founder of this app. My name is Wang Wei. Although I am the founder, and our team is full of passion, the actual situation is very difficult. For example, this order, boss, do not look at me earning 8 yuan from one order. But if our team of 11 people takes turns delivering food, we can only do about 50 or 60 orders a day at most. 11 people can only earn about 400 yuan a day. And then factoring in the team's normal expenses and labor costs, we still have to put money into it every month. No, it should be that we have to put money into it every day. I have already invested over 300,000 yuan into it. 100,000 was given to me by my family, and the other 200,000 I borrowed. So if this startup fails, I will have to go back to working an honest job with 200,000 in debt. But the current results are still unsatisfactory. It feels like this 300,000 yuan has been invested without even making a splash. Sigh. Wang Wei poured out his troubles, as if complaining bitterly to Xiao Feng, who had just given him a 100 yuan tip. Anyway, Wang Wei had no other orders afterward, so chatting there all day was fine. Facing Wang Wei's outpouring of grievances, Xiao Feng, as a reborn person, understood better than anyone that in the current market environment, without capital investment, this team would not last more than a year. Not to mention having thousands of teams as competitors, the main issue was that food delivery was not yet widespread. To popularize it and make users accustomed to it would require a huge amount of capital investment. The reason Xiao Feng got used to ordering takeout in his previous life was because there were all sorts of ridiculous new user acquisition promotions at the time. For example, a familiar restaurant's green pepper and egg rice bowl usually cost 10 yuan. The customer paid 10 yuan, and the owner earned 10 yuan. This was also the standard price. But when food delivery capital entered the market, ordering takeout on specific apps not only eliminated delivery fees, but also reduced the price of a green pepper and egg rice bowl, which originally cost 10 yuan, to a maximum of 5 yuan. And the restaurant owner, who originally sold the green pepper and egg for 10 yuan, could receive 15 yuan from the platform. This amounted to a two-way subsidy for both merchants and users. As a result, they were able to quickly occupy the market in a very short period. Therefore, if nothing unexpected happened, Wang Wei's current team would last at most 1 year. Wang Wei would then likely join a new company, earning 5,000 yuan per month, carrying 200,000 in debt, aimlessly paying it off, and this entrepreneurial experience would simply become a chapter in his life. And facing Wang Wei's earlier lament, Xiao Feng still showed a look of surprise. No way, really. Such a good project, such good service, and it is still not making money. Wang Wei's smile became even stiffer. There is nothing we can do. The competitive pressure is too great. From my rough analysis, there are at least 500 teams nationwide currently working on this project. And I have seen some teams even start advertising free delivery, which is completely burning money. With such competitors, small teams like ours, plus without financial support, really can't compete. That is true. Xiao Feng nodded symbolically, hearing you say that. It does sound quite difficult. But why do not you seek investment? Such a good project should attract investors, right? It should, but at this point Wang Wei choked up briefly for a few seconds. But they won't invest in small teams like us. The main reason is that the risk is too high, and for us to truly make it big, we need continuous staged investments. Each stage requires a large amount of capital. For example, right now, our team can only cover a 5-kilometer radius. Only after growing larger can we consider the entire district, then the entire city, the entire province, and finally the entire country. So what currently seems like a small project, if you really want to make it bigger, stronger, and truly successful, the investment is simply a bottomless pit. Xiao Feng listened intently to Wang Wei's every word. This project, if looked at currently, was indeed not worth investing in unless there was 100% certainty. After all, this was a phased investment. The further it went, the more it would be about burning money to seize market share. But once market share was successfully seized, the subsequent market value and profits would be no less than that of Mizhu Group. If this is your first stage to occupy the market of the entire district, how much investment is currently needed? Hearing Xiao Feng ask this, Wang Wei did not think much, almost speaking offhand. I calculated it before. It would probably be about 1 million yuan. But we simply can't come up with that money. Now we are in a dilemma to say disband. We are reluctant. To say not to disband, it feels like we can't keep going. After Wang Wei finished speaking, the passion he had earlier was completely gone from his face. It felt as if Xiaofeng had talked him into a state of depression, mainly because every question Xiaofeng asked was incisive, hitting the core points. And the root of all difficulties, in the end, was the lack of sufficient funds to sustain it. Quote, 1 million yuan, right? I am investing in this project. Xiaofeng's sudden, shocking words caught Wang Wei completely off guard. We were chatting so well, why suddenly invest 1 million yuan? Upon hearing Xiaofeng wanted to invest 1 million yuan, Wang Wei first froze for a second, his expression changed from a wry smile to blankness, then to astonishment, and finally to suspicion. Boss, what did you just say? I said, I am very optimistic about your team's project and can consider investing. With this QA, there could be no mistake. Wang Wei heard it clearly at this moment. He was 100% sure he had not misheard. Boss, are you really going to invest in our team, and are you willing to invest 1 million yuan? Is it that sudden? Wang Wei was both surprised and delighted, but more so, he was nervous. He was nervous because he feared Xiaofeng was just joking and might go back on his word at any time. Do not get so excited. Xiaofeng said calmly and composedly, your project is indeed good, and I have also seen the general structure. It is very much in line with future market trends, not to mention, this is also a beneficial project for the people, a kind of progress for the era. As for me, I will consider and strongly support any project that benefits the people, especially projects that can bring real convenience to ordinary people. For me, the significance of such projects is no longer about making money. It is mainly about letting us also have our own food delivery platform, allowing everyone to enjoy convenience. Xiaofeng once again used his familiar Xiao-style speech method. Clearly, he was thinking that once the investment captured the market, it would make a lot of money. But Xiaofeng always managed to use the art of language to give people a feeling of great righteousness. Especially the phrase, it has nothing to do with making money. It is mainly about bringing convenience to everyone. And after hearing Xiaofeng's words, Wang Wei suddenly felt as if he had a sudden realization, and his soul was purified. I get it. I think I get it, Wang Wei said with an enlightened expression. No wonder, boss, you are so accomplished at such a young age. It turns out the gap between you and me is not just in ability, but our ideological awareness is worlds apart. To be honest, when I first started this errand-running app, my primary thought was, of course, to make money. It is just that. Reality hit me hard. Actually, honestly, I wanted to give up last month, but the sunk cost was too high. My family scraped together over 100,000 yuan for me, and I took out a loan of 200,000 yuan myself. Now, the money has run out, but it has not made any waves in the market, and although I am still persisting now, I am just avoiding facing reality. But boss, your words just now made me suddenly realize that my direction was wrong from the start. Benefiting the people is the core concept of entrepreneurship. Wang Wei's passionate speech made it seem as if even his thoughts had been enlightened by Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng even felt a bit embarrassed by what was said. Xiaofeng still maintained a composed expression. So, when your starting point is to make the world a better place, money will naturally follow. After Xiaofeng finished this sentence, he also felt it sounded somewhat familiar, as if he had heard some successful person say it in his previous life. Anyway, whatever successful people say makes sense. Wang Wei naturally nodded repeatedly. Indeed, it certainly makes sense. By the way, boss, I still do not know your surname. My surname is Xiao. My name is Xiaofeng. Mr. Xiao. Wang Wei's voice was very low then. Then the 1 million yuan investment you just mentioned. Xiaofeng indeed intended to invest, and there was no doubt about it. However, Wang Wei's situation was completely different from that of Mijo Group. Mijo Group's CEO Lei was personally very, very capable, and additionally it required RD and had strong technical aspects. But for the current food delivery platforms, after the app is developed, the most important thing is actually competing with capital, competing by burning money. Given this, Xiaofeng could invest in any team. Wang Wei was not the only option. So regarding shares, Xiaofeng definitely had to take the lion's share. How much have you invested so far, roughly, to be precise? Wang Wei quickly thought for a moment, a total of between 340,000 and 350,000 yuan, I guess. It has been established for about 3 months now. Okay, Xiao Feng symbolically pondered for a few seconds. As for the money, I can invest it for you, but I have 3 requirements in total. As for these 3 requirements, after I have stated them, if you find them unreasonable, you can decisively refuse. That is your freedom. No problem, mister. Xiao, let alone 3 requirements, I would agree to 30. Wang Wei had no other options now. If Xiao Feng was willing to invest, it would be saving him from a desperate situation. Do not rush. Let me finish first. Xiao Feng said unhurriedly, his demeanor calm. The first requirement, I will temporarily give you 1.35 million yuan. 1 million yuan is considered an investment, and the 350,000 yuan is for reimbursement. Did not you invest a total of 350,000 yuan, including a 200,000 yuan loan? Let us pay off that debt first so you have no external debts, and your pressure will be reduced. This 350,000 yuan is a gift from me, no need to repay it. For my investment of 1 million yuan, I require 90% of the shares. You retain 5%, and the remaining 5% will be distributed among the other 10 people in your team, giving each person 0.5% of the shares to motivate everyone further. The second requirement, as you well know, my 1 million yuan investment will hardly make a splash in the market, so subsequent investments will range from tens of millions to several hundred million yuan. With such an investment, the risk I have to bear is too high. Therefore, every step of your future planning must be approved by me. Of course, as long as your ideas and direction are sound, you can proceed boldly. I generally won't interfere. But if there is a significant deviation in direction, I have the right to order you to revise it promptly. You must understand that for an investment like mine, there are no fewer than 500 such teams nationwide. Investing in any team is not a problem for me. So, it is not that you chose me, but that you were lucky enough to be chosen by me. The final requirement, your team will henceforth be listed under my company, Polaris Company, as a subsidiary. Of course, under normal circumstances, you will have the final say in everything concerning this company. I have finished stating these 3 requirements. Please consider them carefully, and after you have thought it over, give me an answer. Xiao Feng's 3 requirements seemed somewhat overbearing, but they were entirely reasonable and something others would eagerly seek but could not get. Just as Xiao Feng himself said, this project would require an investment of at least tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of yuan. Currently, there are so many homogenized teams domestically, and Xiao Feng could invest in anyone. Anyway, this does not require much technical difficulty. It is mainly about the model. Whoever stands last is the winner. So these 3 requirements are actually not excessive at all, let alone Xiao Feng directly taking 90% of the shares. Even if he took 100%, there would be a group of people willing to work. Many people would work for a highly capable individual for a monthly salary of 100,000 yuan. Moreover, Xiao Feng reimbursed all 350,000 yuan Wang Wei invested and additionally gave him 5% of the shares. This 5% is an astronomical price. Even an idiot like Wang Wei would know what to choose. Mr. Xiao, I agree. I agree to all 3 requirements you just mentioned. I do not need to go back and think about it. Wang Wei showed his willingness almost without hesitation, continuously expressing his agreement. Are you sure you do not want to think about it properly? No need to consider. I am not stupid, Mr. Xiao. I am willing to bring my team to join Polaris Company. Wang Wei's attitude was quite clear now. He was willing, very willing. Even though Xiao Feng asked him to go back and reconsider, Wang Wei did not consider it at all. Nor did he need to. It was as if he had grasped a life-saving straw. Mr. Xiao, the 3 conditions you just mentioned are not demands to me, but rather a rescue. After all, without your investment, our team would dissolve next month, and my 350,000 would be destined to go down the drain. But you not only reimbursed me, but also invested 1 million, which brought my team back from the dead, and me too. And the most important thing is the subsequent investment. That is the big one. Not to mention too much, but if you invest 20 million later, if 20 million is poured in, then we will at least make a splash in Jiangzhen City. Once we make a splash in the market, even if competitors want to devour us, their best approach would be to acquire us. And with a 20 million investment, once it creates a stir and achieves certain results, our company's valuation could reach 50 million or even more. If the other party wants to acquire us, they will naturally offer a price of 50 million, and out of this 50 million, you gave me 5% of the shares for free, and that alone is worth 2.5 million. And what I'm saying is not empty talk in the current climate. If a large amount of capital can be injected, we are sure to achieve results. I can guarantee you that. So, Mr. Shao, I truly do not need to go back and think about it. To me, you are my benefactor, and I am willing to bring my team to join Polaris. Wang Wei's answer was firm and powerful, and his thinking was very clear, allowing him to instantly understand everything involved. Through this answer, it was naturally not difficult to see that he was a smart person. Since he was a smart person, he could, of course, be cultivated. Of course, Xiao Feng also had a bit of a gambling streak. After all, this investment truly carried risks, and the capital invested was enormous. But if it could truly succeed, then in the future, it would be another trillion-dollar conglomerate. From memory, Shui Tuan eventually reached a trillion-dollar market capitalization, and behind success, there was naturally the assistance of multiple capitals, to put it plainly. It was about burning money. Xiao Feng was already prepared for a future of frantically burning money. Even if it was a gamble, he could afford to gamble. Moreover, Xiao Feng currently had hundreds of thousands of bitcoins in his pocket, as well as shares in the two major groups, Mizzhou and K's. What was there to fear? Xiao Feng once again uttered that familiar line. Welcome to Polaris. Thank you, Mr. Xiao, do not worry. I definitely won't disappoint you. Just like that, Xiao Feng gained another new investment project, acquiring the team with an equivalent investment of 1 million. Xiao Feng alone held 90% of the shares, and everything the team did from then on was up to Xiao Feng, led by him. Of course, Xiao Feng's current 90% stake was only for the present for such a project that purely burns money to capture market share. Xiao Feng would also need to raise funds later, distributing a portion of the shares to spread the risk. The main reason was that this was truly a huge gamble, burning money too fiercely. Once a certain market share was secured later, the company would have a certain valuation, and naturally, more capital would proactively seek to invest. At that time, Xiao Feng could cash out a portion of his shares and also allow other capital to invest. In this way, the connections and interest groups behind these capitals could also provide protection. Of course, it had not reached that stage yet. It had to be taken one step at a time. Xiao Feng also asked Wang Wei to go back and thoroughly optimize the app first. This 1 million investment was for optimization, and after it was fully optimized, they would officially enter the market. Mr. Xiao, I have got another big order. Just then, Guo Shouhang immediately put down the lunchbox in his hand, swallowing what he had not finished chewing in a hurry. It was lunchtime, but Guo Shouhang's computer chat software had been running the whole time. As a result, he suddenly saw a big order coming in for inquiry and was immediately thrilled. Xiao Feng also walked over immediately, but his first action was not to ask about the big order instead. It is lunchtime now. You should take a break. Xiao Feng simply expressed his concern first, which warmed one's heart. I understand, but I just happened to see the message. Guo Shouhang was very excited, Mr. Xiao. The other party must also be a coin miner. They have accumulated a total of 5,000 coins and want to sell them all at once. Upon hearing 5,000 coins, Xiao Feng's naturally composed expression almost broke. His mind immediately started doing calculations. At 700,000 per coin, this order of 5,000 coins would be a lot of money. Suddenly, another message appeared on the chat interface, and this message instantly made the somewhat excited Guo Shouhang feel as if he had lost all strength. Damn it! Guo Shouhang helplessly slammed the table, his face full of regret. Mr. Xiao, this guy on the other side is making an outrageous demand. I see. Although Xiao Feng was not particularly fluent in English, he could fully understand simple messages. The other party's message clearly stated that 5,000 bitcoins would cost 10,000 US dollars. This was 10,000 US dollars, equivalent to a full 10,000 US dollars. averaging $2 per coin if converted to Chinese currency. It would be equivalent to 11 yuan per coin. This was completely double the market price or even a bit more. Precisely because of this, Guo Xiaohang, who had been quite happy, immediately knew this deal was off and he would not get his commission. Sigh. Guo Xiaohang sighed. I originally thought it was a big order, but it turned out to be a dreamer. Under normal circumstances, each Bitcoin overseas is only about 0.8 US dollars now, so 5,000 coins would only be worth 4,000 US dollars, but this guy is directly asking for 2.5 times the price. At the same time, the other side sent another message. The general meaning, if you can't accept 10,000, I won't consider it for now. Consider it or do not. Only a fool would want it, Guo Xiaohang subconsciously cursed. Xiaofeng glanced at Guo Xiaohang with a dark expression. See, impatient again. Xiaofeng paused slightly. Tell him, deal. Joking aside, it was just 10,000 US dollars. How could Xiaofeng not want it? Especially in this situation, if he did not take it for 10,000 US dollars, the other party would not even consider selling and there would be no room for negotiation. Moreover, these were 5,000 bitcoins. Not to mention the long term, even 3 years from now, each coin would already be worth 3,000 yuan, and this transaction could turn into 15 million in 3 years. Upon hearing Xiaofeng choose to proceed with the deal, Guo Xiaohang's first reaction was naturally to dissuade him. Mr. Xiao, we do not have to do this. Although I know you're doing this for future appreciation, this is virtual currency after all, not gold. It does not have such high value, and our current cost is too high. This order is already 2.5 times the average market price. Unless this Bitcoin's future value can triple, you will definitely lose money. No, that is not right. Unless Bitcoin's future value can quintuple from its current price, you won't break even. After all, you have also hired so many people and these are all costs. What Guo Xiaohang said was quite reasonable. Xiaofeng did not say much, just patted Guo Xiaohang's shoulder. Take it all now. Xiaofeng's voice seemed gentle, but in reality, there was an indescribable authority in his tone just now. Guo Xiaohang no longer had any unnecessary words. He immediately proceeded to complete the transaction with the other party, following the entire process. As Guo Xiaohang finished typing the last keystroke again. Mr. Xiao, the transaction is complete. Well done. Oh, right, Mr. Xiao. Guo Xiaohang had already decided during the transaction. For this order of 5,000 bitcoins, I won't take a commission. After all, I acquired them at 2.5 times the price, so I really have no face to ask for a commission. Guo Xiaohang was quite smart, and so far today, he had already acquired nearly 2,000 bitcoins, having already received 2,000 yuan in commission just from those, not counting his base salary. Therefore, these 5,000 bitcoins were originally acquired at 2.5 times the price, and Guo Xiaohang voluntarily chose not to take a commission. As he said, he felt too embarrassed to take this commission. However, Xiaofeng's next words made Guo Xiaohang quite bewildered. How could there be such a domineering boss? Xiaofeng deliberately put on a serious face, and his tone was indeed domineering. Not a single cent of commission can be less. Moreover, although the price for this order is slightly high, it was approved by me. Not only will I not deduct your pay, but I will also give you an additional 1,000 yuan red packet as a bonus. Not just you. Everyone in the company today will receive a 1,000 yuan red packet. Mr. Xiao, out of nowhere, forcefully distributed red packets again. He had no sense of boundaries and did not even ask for anyone's consent. For a moment, Guo Xiaohang was completely dumbfounded. Today was only his first official day at work. By now, he had not only received nearly 7,000 yuan in commission, but also an additional 1,000 yuan red packet, daily income of 8,000. And everyone else in the company also received a 1,000 yuan red packet each. Mr. Xiao, are you raising a death squad? Wishing all reader bosses a happy new year. Manager Xiao is generous. Thank you, Manager Xiao, for the big red envelope. Love you. Manager Xiao Momo raised both hands above her head and made a heart gesture towards Xiaofeng. No, just thanks. Do not love me. It won't work out. I have a wife. Xiaofeng replied in a joking tone. Everyone chuckled. Although it seemed like a joke, Xiaofeng wanted to make it clear, which was also a sign of respect for Miss Lejinian. In short, he would never have even the slightest possibility of misunderstanding with any other woman, even if it was just a joke. And with Xiaofeng's big red envelope, everyone at Polaris Company was immersed in joy. Mainly, Xiaofeng just randomly gave out big red envelopes, and the key was that each was 1,000 yuan. In 2010, the average monthly salary for ordinary workers outside was only 3,000 yuan, with a 1,000 yuan red envelope for each person. The total for the entire company was 19,000 yuan, yet Xiaofeng did not even blink. No wonder Guo Shouhang expressed with difficulty understanding that Xiaofeng was raising death-sworn retainers. Of course, these were direct employees, so good benefits were normal. And also, everyone was genuinely happy today. Because by 5 p.m. this afternoon, when work ended, the performance of every team at Polaris Company was excellent. The first team, Da's team, was responsible for acquiring houses. They acquired 7 more houses today, which was an overachievement, and 2 of them were over 100 square meters. Once demolished, compensation would be based on the square footage. The second team, Erhu's team, was responsible for acquiring domestic Bitcoin and mining coins using mining machines. Today, they collectively acquired 3,735 coins. This amount was quite impressive. Xiaofeng made a killing. As for the third team, the so-called overseas team, they specialized in acquiring overseas Bitcoin. On their first day, they had a surge in orders, acquiring a total of 11,303 coins in one day, directly breaking the 10,000 coin mark. Guo Shouhang alone acquired 7,563 coins. This guy earned 7,563 yuan just in commission today, plus the 1,000 yuan red envelope and his base salary, making his daily income 9,000 yuan. Qin Yu and Kao Bai also did quite well. Qin Yu acquired 2,860 coins, and Kao Bai acquired 880 coins. Even though Kao Bai had the least, his commission today was 880 yuan, and with the red envelope and base salary, he also made over 2,000 yuan today. With such salary and benefits, it was truly a situation where employees worried more about the company going bankrupt than the boss did. If employees still had dreams, then everyone's dream was for the company to get better and better, grow larger and larger, and earn more and more. Similarly, it was not just the employees who were happy today. The happiest one was undoubtedly Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng's current total number of properties had reached 103, achieving his target of 100 properties ahead of schedule. And there was still half a month until the demolition announcement. He could acquire at least 30 more properties. As for Bitcoin, at this moment, Xiaofeng looked at his Bitcoin balance, and that familiar AK-style grin appeared at the corners of his mouth. Current Bitcoin, 16,400 coins. In one day today, the two teams combined acquired a total of 15,038 coins. Except for the 5,000 coin transaction, which was a large order, the rest were accumulated one by one. This accumulation from individual orders had the highest value because by accumulating them one by one, he could estimate the average daily acquisition rate for the future. The normal average was equivalent to 10,000 coins per day. Exhilarating, Xiaofeng could not help but inwardly praise. With his current assets, even without considering Bitcoin and shares in several companies, Xiaofeng could live comfortably for a lifetime just with the 103 properties he currently held. Even if these 103 properties were not demolished, just by collecting rent, even with an average monthly rent of 1,000 yuan, that would still be 100,000 yuan a month. And how could they not be demolished? Once demolished, Xiaofeng's 103 properties could be compensated for roughly 200 million yuan, plus the land he jointly purchased with Yan Wenshan. That plot of land, which Xiaofeng spent 30 million yuan on, would eventually yield 300 million yuan. So, just with these assets, he could see 500 million yuan in half a month. Of course, after the demolition announcement is issued, the money won't be credited immediately. It would take at least 45 days. But that is not important. At that time, Xiaofeng could directly transfer them in advance to get cash up front. For example, if the total demolition compensation is 520 million yuan, Xiao Feng could just ask for 500 million yuan, and countless people would immediately want to make money from this deal. For instance, they could directly give Xiao Feng 500 million yuan, and once the demolition funds of 520 million yuan arrive, they could earn an extra 20 million yuan. So, theoretically, in half a month, Xiao Feng would have 500 million yuan. Thinking of this, he was done, for the corners of his mouth could not help but twitch up again, could not think about it anymore. The more he thought, the more excited he got. Manager Xiao, see you tomorrow. Manager Xiao. Goodbye. As it was time to leave work, everyone said goodbye to Xiao Feng as they headed out. Manager Xiao, Fang Zhang came over with the keys. Let us go. I will take you home. This was not the first time Fang Zhang had driven Xiao Feng home. Xiao Feng mainly did not have a car, so if he did not take the subway, Fang Zhang would voluntarily drive him home. Fang Zhang drove an old 2000 Volkswagen Santana. Although it was old, its performance was still good. I am not going home yet today, Xiao Feng said, picking up his phone and sending a message to Li Jinian. Xiao Feng, miss, I will be back later. Li Jinian, okay? Fang Zhang was also confused when he heard Xiao Feng was not going home. Huh, not going home then? Where are you going anyway? I am free after work, so wherever you're going, I will take you. Xiao Feng rummaged through the bag he usually carried and finally found it. It was a small black booklet. That was his driver's license. Let us go to the Four's shop. As soon as he heard Four's shop, Fang Zhang understood almost instantly. Xiao Feng was going to buy a car. That is right. He was a boss after all, and not having a car was inconvenient in the end. Moreover, in the business world, cars are sometimes used to maintain appearances one cannot do without them. Which brand's Four's shop? Fang Zhang asked. Xiao Feng deliberately played coy with a joking tone, by the way. What kind of car do you think suits my temperament? Needless to say, with your young achievements and temperament, of course, the latest model Santana suits you best. Fang Zhang had originally intended to praise Xiao Feng, but it sounded a bit strange. It was not that the Santana was bad, but the car was already a bit outdated for the current times. Even the latest model, it still carried a sense of age. And Xiao Feng was only 22 this year. It did not match his image. Ha. Xiao Feng was also amused by Fang Zhang's answer. Let us go, I will give you directions. Porsche 4's dealership. This dealership is located in a prime location in Zhangjian City, and it is currently the only Porsche 4's dealership in Zhangjian City. In the current era, this brand completely symbolizes luxury cars. Damn it! So it is a Porsche. Fang Zhang was also a little excited. Mr. Xiao, you really suit this. If you drive this car, even our employees will gain face. Ha. It is just the two of us now. No one else is here. Why call me Mr. Xiao? Xiao, Feng said casually, like a friend. All right, good brother Xiao Feng. Please wait a moment. I will park the car first, then I will go in with you to look around. Afterward, Fang Zhang deliberately pulled his Santana close to the entrance of the Four's dealership, parking it right next to the main entrance. The spot certainly was not in the way, but it was indeed a bit conspicuous. Through the large floor-to-ceiling windows of the Forti's dealership, the staff inside immediately saw an old Santana pull up at the entrance, and it was parked right at the door. A customer had arrived, but not a target customer, because this group of salespeople knew very well that in such cases, people usually just came in to browse. But as long as a customer entered the store, if no specific salesperson was assigned, the salespeople would take turns to assist them. At this moment, it was normally Tang Xiaoya's turn to assist. But when Tang Xiaoya saw that the person who arrived was driving an old Santana, she immediately lost her enthusiasm. Because usually in such situations, after the customer had looked around, it would just be half a day of service, and any introduction would be in vain. Tang Xiaoya had been working here for over a year, so she had some experience. As soon as she saw this situation, she contemptuously pouted. Ugh, it is definitely another one who is just looking and not buying. Tang Xiaoya muttered quietly, then reluctantly stood up and went to greet them with a stiff smile. Hello, welcome. It is a pleasure to serve you. This weak voice did not sound very happy. As soon as Xiaofeng entered, he also immediately saw this salesperson with a forced smile. But that was not the main point. The main point was, when he saw Tang Xiaoya, Xiaofeng was also taken aback for a moment, because the salesperson in front of him seemed a bit familiar. Not just familiar looking, but truly familiar. And in the next second, Xiaofeng immediately recognized her. Is not this his ex-wife Shen Yao's best friend from his previous life? In his previous life, Xiaofeng only met Shen Yao 5 years later. Because he had reached a certain age, they got married hastily at that time. And Shen Yao's best friend was the woman in front of him, Tang Xiaoya. Currently, Tang Xiaoya was only 23 years old. In his memory, when Xiaofeng married Shen Yao back then, Tang Xiaoya had put in a lot of effort, but in the wrong direction. The originally agreed upon 280,000 dowry also increased by 100,000 due to Tang Xiaoya's interference, becoming 380,000. And during the wedding, Tang Xiaoya in the bride's wedding car even frantically demanded red envelopes, stating that the more red envelopes given, the more sincere it would appear. And if too few red envelopes were given, the bride would not get out of the car. Of course, Xiaofeng could actually understand that whether it was the dowry or the various forms of difficult behavior, it was nothing more than Tang Xiaoya and Shen Yao acting together, all for the sake of getting more money. Neither of them was a good person, but in his previous life, his marriage was like rushing through a mission, and there was nothing he could do. And later, although he married Shen Yao, Tang Xiaoya would often drag Shen Yao to bars, and every day she would whisper in Shen Yao's ear how capable other people's husbands are. Similarly, in the end, Shen Yao also had no feelings for Xiaofeng. Especially back then, at the end of Xiaofeng's life, the best friend Shen Yao spoke of was none other than Tang Xiaoya. Therefore, when he saw Tang Xiaoya again, it immediately made Xiaofeng think of many unpleasant things. Xiaofeng had not expected that in this life, he would encounter Shen Yao's best friend Tang Xiaoya so early. But on second thought, it made sense. In his previous life, he would not have been able to visit a Porsche 4's dealership like this. Xiaofeng was a consumer at this moment. Although he could sense that Tang Xiaoya did not want to serve him, but the customer is king. Anyway, Tang Xiaoya did not recognize Xiaofeng at all right now. Her unwillingness to serve him was simply because she thought Xiaofeng could not afford it, but she could only grit her teeth and serve Xiaofeng and Fang Jiang. Gentlemen, Tang Xiaoya forced a smile. Which car model would you two like to see? Do you have coffee first? Bring me a cup of coffee and then bring a fruit plate for my buddy here, Xiaofeng said. A fruit plate, too. It is like going to a KTV. Xiaofeng was not being difficult. High-end 4's dealerships inherently offered such services. Drinks, desserts, or fruit plates, they had everything. Because if one wished, even eating here was possible. These were all essential services for high-end dealerships. Tang Xiaoya's smile was already stiff, and now she gritted her teeth even harder. All right, please wait. Xiaofeng then naturally sat on the sofa, waiting for his coffee. At the same time, his gaze fell upon the white Porsche Panamera in the very center of the showroom. Xiaofeng had come today specifically to buy a car, and this model was his target for this visit. The Panamera was an absolute luxury car in the current era, a symbol of status. Even the lowest trim fully equipped would cost 1.4 million, and the top-tier model could easily exceed 2 million. Driving this car, it would be incredibly stylish. In his previous life, Xiaofeng, every time he saw this car on the street, could not help but admire it. Mainly, the car's body lines were simply too beautiful. Soon, the coffee arrived along with a small fruit plate. Except, it was not Tang Xiaoya who brought them, but a new salesperson instead. Huh? Why did they change people? Fang Zhong asked casually. I'm sorry. The girl in front of them quickly explained. She had something urgent come up, so she asked me to serve the two of you. My name is Chen Qing. Just call me Xiao King. Ha ha. Xiaofeng was almost amused. He had not even had a chance to make things difficult for Tang Xiaoya, and she just ditched her post. But this was normal. Tang Xiaoya had worked here for at least a year. Although not a veteran employee, she could instruct new employees. See, for just a cup of coffee, Tang Xiaoya had the new arrival Chen King serve them. As for Tang Xiaoya, there was no urgent matter. She was simply hiding in the break room. It was not mainly because of a cup of coffee, but because she did not consider them target customers at all. So naturally, she sent the new employee Chen King. Anyway, she would not make a sale, and with this time she might as well play a round of connect the dots on her phone. And Chen Qing was naturally pushed forward. Although Chen King was a new employee, her work attitude was impeccable. Even though she knew Xiao Feng and Fang Zhang were just browsing, she still courteously provided service. "Gentlemen, do you have a preferred model?" "I am just here to look around," Fang Zhang said first. "Do not mind me." Afterward, he continued eating the fruit plate. Xiao Feng, meanwhile, was drinking his coffee, mentally making his calculations. "Sir," Chen Qing said enthusiastically, "if there is a model you like, just tell me. Whether you buy it or not does not matter. I will still give you a good introduction. For example, this one, with a displacement of 3.6 L, maximum horsepower." Chen Qing also began her diligent introduction. Actually, whether she introduced it or not did not matter. Xiao Feng knew more about this car than the salesperson herself. "Please pour me another cup of coffee, less sugar." "All right, please wait." Chen Qing's service attitude was completely different from Tang Xiaoya's. The service-oriented smile on her face was very standard. Xiao Feng looked at the white Panamera in front of him alone, liking it more and more the longer he looked. This was his dream car from his previous life. The entire car, from its exterior to its interior, exuded luxury and top-notch craftsmanship. The car's body lines were fluid, and its overall presence was powerful. The car's interior, with its top-grade leather, was soft to the touch, and its quality was beyond reproach. And then there was the LCD instrument cluster, the central control screen, a fusion of nobility and technology. He liked it. He liked it a lot. Besides, he had come specifically for it today. "Sir, your coffee." Chen Qing handed over the coffee with both hands. Then, she brought a fresh fruit plate to Fang Zhang, who was sitting nearby. From this, it could be seen that Chen Qing not only enthusiastically served Xiao Feng, but also did not neglect Fang Zhang, who was beside him. Afterward, Chen Qing continued her standard smiling service. "Sir, I will continue with the introduction. Earlier, I was saying, no need for an introduction. Xiao Feng had already set his sights on the car in front of him. This is the one. Let us swipe the card." At this moment, Tang Xiaoya, who was playing Connect the Dots in the break room, suddenly seemed to hear a keyword. "Made a sale."